Welcome, everybody, to the official League of Kyle's Rivals podcast, episode 6. I'm your host, Mike, and I'm here, as always, with Alex.
With pizza.
With Lucho.
With pizza in my belly.
And today's special guest, he's got a lot to say. The 4th place finish in the inaugural 2019 season. Welcome, Skylar.
And the first place regular season winner.
That's a shame. Nobody remembers.
I know. Nobody gives a shit.
Yeah.
So
I actually do remember that, Mike, you were the 6th seed, but I couldn't tell you what seed Lucia was.
Oh, it doesn't matter what seed Mike is.
That's like when the Colts hung that 2011 AFC participant banner in their stadium.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. If we had the money, I would print up banners for all the playoff teams, playoff participant. But we don't. We don't have money to spend on this. Our the budget of zero. The budget of zero has already been reached. But all right, we got a lot this week. We got some fan mail. We got some trades. We have some rosters to go over. We have some questions for our guests about a lot of things.
3 hours today? 3 hours?
I don't know, man. Last week we set a record at 2 hours, 33 minutes, and 34 seconds, I believe. That's the target, I guess, if we're gonna keep making these longer. But all right, let's get into when Alex is done chewing. Fan mail.
Never.
Yeah, fan mail.
So just to let everyone know, we didn't pre-screen these mail things that came in. I don't know if I can really call them fan mail or hate mail. I don't know what they are yet.
Probably hate at this point.
That's the best kind.
We didn't screen this mail, so I apologize if anyone's shitting all over everyone in the entire league and it's not in competitive spirit. But this one, I'm not even gonna say who this is from until the end. So, although
we should guess once you're done.
I mean, it's pretty easy. This one's pretty easy just by the subject for me, at least. But it's the Dacia Sandero Fan Club newsletter. Dear so-called League of Kyle's Rivals podcast. First off, I want to say thank you for doing this podcast. Been a fan since the first episode and will look forward to any merch you have to sell in the future. I think the loser of this league should be given the honorary Daniel Lupo Losers Trophy. But instead of it being a trophy, it's just a pair of jean shorts that the loser has to hold on to for a year or wear them whatever floats your boat. Also, as much as I enjoy this podcast, I feel as if there's been a real lack of ripping on the unfrosted Pop-Tart that is Daniel Lupo. Him being in this league at one point is simply a stain on this league's historical tradition, and I would very much like to hear the Bobby Boucher, I can't even say his name, Boucher lookalike be crapped on way more. Or is it Bobby Boucher?
Yeah.
Boucher, yeah. American Boucher. Also, thank God you got that mustache weirdo off the show. Not surprised the ratings dipped a bit with that cue ball on the show. Did they ever catch that guy who was held in the dark in a motel room anyway? I don't think anyone ever mentioned that again. Anyway, I have some questions for you guys, if you'll humor me. Lucho, when putting in a blind waiver claim on rookie FA, are you more likely to look at intangibles, college production, or situation? I'll stop there and let you answer.
Can I just interject 1 sec and say yes? I think we all know who this is.
Mm-hmm.
I'm about to say it's Lupo.
It's clear. It's clearly Deej.
In disguise. Anyway, carry on.
So, Luch, when putting in a blind waiver claim on rookie FA, are you more likely to look at intangibles, college production, or situation?
Okay. I'm more likely to look at whatever Matthew Berry tells me to do.
Oh. So you're a big Kalen Balaj fan.
That's, yeah. I keep trying to put bids in on him, but somebody has him, I think.
Okay.
Do it here 06010.
It's my RSS feed.
Good answer. Now here we go. Alex, you spoke about how you really, really like J.K. Dobbins. What about him sets him apart in your mind? Some would argue he had the best interior O-line in college football. So for J.K. Dobbins, one thing, I think I've said this to a couple people before, is like when he was coming in, I kind of thought that he does everything very good, but nothing amazing. But then I've gone to look at it a little bit more. And the one thing that really, like, I guess this is probably like I'm not really diving in deep enough, and it's kind of just like highlight reel analysis. But just his sidestep is so amazing. It's one of the most amazing things I've ever seen. So, like, to be able to get a guy that has the agility to do something like that just blows my mind off. Also, he has the ability to catch his ability to run down the middle. He had better production than Zeke did in Ohio State. So big fan of that. I also just like, in general, being in Baltimore with a team that just runs the ball so much. If I remember correctly, they were the league leader in rush attempts.
Yeah. And
so I'm sure.
Robert-
Okay, a lot
Well,
of
I mean, that was their quarterback.
yeah, well, sure, but Mark Ingram was also a running back one, and we know Mark Ingram talent-wise is not a running back.
True.
I do
So,
have a few points to mention with your answer. One, blows your mind off.
Did I say that?
Yeah.
Whoops.
Two, judging by who sent this mail, I think you know the correct answer was he played for Ohio. Three,
Ohio University?
Ohio University. Three,
Miami of Ohio?
Yeah. I completely agree. I think like the thing that sets him apart for me is his balance, aside from doing everything really well.
But so that's kind of like, when I was coming in, I thought that some people might not really like him because they aren't finding that one thing that they could be like, that hang their hat on and just be like, hey, this guy is the greatest pass catcher I've ever seen. That's why I like him. It's more like they like his all-around game, but he's not wowing a lot of people. But if you really look into it, I don't know, he wows me. So
my question there is basically, is he going to be a 3-down back for them? Because it's like, how many running backs are on the Ravens that?
It's a good question. This year, definitely not.
Not to mention Jackson. I mean, as a long-term prospect, I think.
So I think next year he will be the quote-unquote 3-down back.
I can see that.
I think Ingram will be gone. I think Gus Edwards could be gone this year. We'll see. And Justice Hill is whatever. He's just a scat back, in my opinion. So
yeah.
But even in Baltimore, as much as I like the landing spot because the rush attempts, I don't know how much value 3-down back has as a like compared to being Zeke or being Saquon or being CMC, because they just don't really pass to the running back. So the question in my mind really is, did they not pass the running back because of their scheme? Maybe a little bit, maybe a lot. Or did they not pass the running back because they didn't want to pass to Mark Ingram in particular? Because when I saw Justice Hill come in at the end of the year, or maybe in the playoffs too, for his couple snaps, they loved passing him the ball. So I think he'll be the 3-down back, and I think the real question is more just what does that exactly mean for Baltimore? So
I think
that I'm willing to take the risk and hope that it's a little bit better than what Mark Ingram had.
I think there's a bit of a flip side to that, and correct me if you think I'm wrong, but I also think that there's a possibility he could be a 3-down back sooner than later, because I think after last year, teams are going to start figuring out Lamar Jackson, and he's not going to match his rushing production. If he does, then holy crap, he might.
I think I've mentioned this on an earlier episode where he had like 1,200 yards. I still think he's going to be somewhere around 1,000. Still a shit ton of rushing yards. It's just
I'll take the under, but not by much. I think he'll still be high.
Yeah, like, they've also mentioned that they do want him to pass the ball a little bit more, and I mean, you got to.
He proved he could do that.
Yeah, you got to stay dynamic in the NFL. Teams will catch on. You got to keep changing, So, but all right, that's a good J.K. Dobbins question. And sorry, my phone closed, so now I have to go back to this.
Oh, jeez.
Skylar, trading as much as you did for Tua, what about him did you like? Did the injuries worry you? Was there a certain game or tape you like about him?
Can I interject before you start by saying we'll get to the trade, so just answer it with what do you like about Tua? Not to kind of like limit your answer, but just limit it to Tua.
Intangibles. Did I overpay? Hell yeah. I overpaid. I mean, I didn't even think about it until you said it, Mike. You know, you were saying maybe I should have taken that draft haul and like gone after another quarterback. I think I'll get more into that when.
Of course.
But I think there are intangibles there, and I gotta be honest, I didn't like Tua all of his college career, but I think there is the potential. I think he's going to be a starter this year sooner than later.
I agree with you.
How long does Fitzmagic last for? Average 3 to 4 games. And, if they have training camp, who knows if he beats them out of training camp? The possibility's there. I think it's just also the fact that we'll talk about it more when we get to my roster. Quarterback room is probably one of the worst in the league. And I was not getting a quarterback at 10. What was my pick? 11?
11, yeah. So you would have missed.
I was not getting a quarterback. I needed a quarterback.
You would have had your pick of Love and Hurts.
All right. Let's save the rest.
Exactly.
Let's save the rest for the
exactly,
discussion because now we're getting off.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I was chuckling to myself for like 15 seconds ago because I read the next line for the first time. Bruce, is it true what they say about people who live in New Jersey?
What exactly did they say?
It's not specified in the mail, so.
Oh, I mean, it's probably true. Yes, whatever is said, probably accurate.
I knew it.
Also, regards. I won't say the name. Skylar, I'll give you the guess as our guest. I'll give you the guess on who this is.
Dennis.
It is okay. Yeah, sure.
It wasn't.
Regards, Denny Janetti, or as I like to call him, and he likes to call himself, especially after what we've seen the past couple days, Denny Cashman. P.S. Do you like candy corn? If you do, I'll send you some fucking candy corn. I actually do like candy corn. Not a lot of it. I can only eat a couple of them, but I do like it.
It's okay.
It's good. It's
Once
good.
in a while.
It's the most shit on candy for no reason.
I agree.
People just it's like Nickelback. Is Nickelback that bad, or do people just pile on?
They pile up.
All right.
They
Well,
pile up. Nickelback.
That's a 50-50.
there go the ratings.
There goes the ratings.
Yeah, great. You bring up Nickelback and
whatever, man. They already clicked. It doesn't matter.
Also, Dennis, I know since you're listening to this, I have some bad news. The Dacia Sandero's release, it's been delayed due to coronavirus. So, anyway, let's move on to the next one. This one was texted to me, so sorry about. God, no, he said he was too lazy to email, so here it is.
It's literally you just open a different thing on your phone.
Yeah, it's like just move your finger over here.
Yep. Well, maybe some of you have a guess on who this is already. Who knows? But dear Mr. Rivals of the Kyles, this is the episode 4 review. There should never be a reason to talk that long about Baker. Browns fans don't even care about him that much. I like hearing Phil. That dude is a cool cat. My heart broke a little every time Mike said, "Oh man, this team is really bad. Really, really bad. I'll never recover." And the rating is 2.7 out of 10.
Oh, out of 10.
Whoa.
Oh,
Wow.
That's rough.
We got our work cut out for us tonight then.
Damn.
So, I mean, it makes sense that our views went down too for that episode. Now here's episode.
All right, I was about to say if he only reviewed episode 4, I was going to say, oh, real convenient. What might be the worst team is falling behind still.
Now
but anyway, go on.
Here's the episode 5 review. This was way too long, and I should have just watched Infinity War like Lucho suggested. But somehow your best episode yet. The show format is finally getting solidified, and it shows. But cut the fat. No need to repeat yourself 4 times. Looking at you, Mike. Also, get Tom on more eps. That dude gives me the giggles. Gotta go put little Nicky to bed. Keep up the good work. Least favorite fan. You're friendly. And does anyone have a guess on who this is?
I mean, come on now.
That was also Deej.
Your friendly Hockness monster. Hate mail.
Was there a rating for episode 5?
There is. I was just about to say it. The episode 5 review out of 10 got an 8.3.
Wow.
Oh, all right.
Respectable.
I think there's a little bias in his ratings.
I mean, maybe.
Yeah, he gave a bad rating when Mike said that his team is really, really bad.
All right.
All right. Well, that's it for the mail. Thanks for sending it. We always appreciate it. This stuff is fun to read.
Mail.
Yeah.
Yes, please. You can email to me if you have my email. It's pretty easy. It's just my name at gmail.com. If you need to text it to me, sure, I'm gonna shit on you that you text it to me, but whatever, I will read it. So yeah, if you want to send mail, we usually record sometime between Tuesday and Thursday. And it's been Thursdays, so if
it's usually been Thursday.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you get it at least by like Thursday evening, I'll definitely get it on the show.
Yeah.
If not, I'll just be on the next one. But I'll give the host duties back to Mike now for the rest of the show.
All right. So I think last week everyone took a week off from trades, but we're back. A lot of movement, a lot of big moves.
Vengeance.
Big moves. We had a fire sale go down.
Mhm.
And just a handful of shit happened as well. Can I start? I'm not going to start with the big trade. I have to start with so Dennis got something for Ryan Finley. Ryan Finley traded to Kyle for a 2021 fourth round pick and a 2022 third round pick. Can I? Okay.
Okay.
What is it about Ryan Finley in this league?
I texted Alex. I'm like, is Finley even Joe Burrow's backup? Because okay, fine. If he's Joe Burrow's backup, I guess you want the handcuff, but you want the handcuff to still be in the bottom 3 teams. What's the point?
Yeah.
And I get it, but like, do you want Ryan? And listen, I get it. The third and fourth pick, like, what's the are the ridiculously low percentage that you actually hit with somebody fantasy relevant? Why even? There's no point. I have to say, we need like an intervention soon. Like, what are you doing?
As somebody in the league who's already ripped off somebody else by selling him Ryan Finley, I think my opinion might matter the most here. But I don't know. I just you'll talk about maybe that's my trade. I'll just mention it now. I traded Will Greer to Anthony for a 4th round pick.
Oh yeah.
Why is Ryan Will Greer? Okay, whatever. You can say what you want. He might not even be the backup because of PJ Walker, but he was still a higher draft pick than Ryan Finley, and they both looked terrible. So why is there such a large discrepancy in their value?
Yeah.
That one is only worth a 4th and one is worth a 3rd and a 4th. It doesn't make sense.
The Ryan Finley trade, you might as well have paid $20 for Jake Fromm.
Wink.
Like, yeah, why? Is that like, why not just throw? I mean, it was clearly like one of those drop candidate trades of, wow, was someone going to click accept? And oh shit, they did. Is what that seems like. I don't know. Again, we're not going to get an answer of like why until Kyle joins us on this podcast. But I just have to say, like, what's
Dennis sold it. Dennis sold it, man. He really pitched the fact that he's the handcuff to Joe Burrow, and probably Kyle's team isn't that great on quarterback. So if Joe Burrow goes down, then he's going to be completely.
If he could, but if I would say, who cares? But Kyle doesn't have any draft picks, so he can't. Normally, I would say he would still have his draft picks, and if Joe Burrow goes down, you shrug your shoulders and say, "Guess I'm in last still," and then you go get Trevor Lawrence next year. But that's not happening. I don't know, man.
If he had his picks, Joe Burrow going down would be better for his team. So
exactly, I agree that right. So that's why, like, why would you? Right, if you're a bad team, why do you even want a shitty handcuff to begin with? I don't know, like. I should know, having Mason Rudolph on my roster, still on my roster, and I got a season out of him starting, and he was fucking awful. And I texted you this earlier, Alex. You have Ben Roethlisberger. Want to trade me a
You're
fourth
welcome.
and a third? Want to trade me a 4th and a 3rd for Mason Rudolph?
Yeah, absolutely not.
Hey, there we go. So what are we doing? But now, just to get the Kyle rant out of our system early, because
I think he does it to make sure we have content.
Hey,
I think he does it to make sure that he's still everyone's rival.
Oh, that too.
Oh, yeah. I don't know, man. I don't get it. And when we have the inevitable Kyle episode, I have so many questions. Well, I think we all do.
Can I trade? And I don't that trade, but can I bring this up?
Yeah, go for it.
Mike, straight up, round 1 pick for Thielen?
Yeah. You don't agree?
No, it's not that I don't. I got an offer before you that involves Thielen. Am I allowed to even read it, or
yeah, you can say whatever you want.
Okay, he offered me Fitzmagic. I don't know why I keep saying that. Thielen and Sammy Watkins for Donkey Kong Metcalf and my 2022 second round pick. And I really thought about it.
Yeah, but I mean, I also think he thinks your draft picks are projected better than mine. I think that had a lot to do with it. I offered him 2 seconds, and then and then I offered him like some other like rookies to add on, and he said a first, and I just was, I'm like, fine, I want to add 1 receiver, so I just traded the first. Like, I mean, again, it's just, I think it's just presumed value. I think he figures, all right, if I get this pick and Skylar, I think he thinks your team has more of a chance to be a bad bet than mine or something. I don't know. Or he really likes DK Metcalf and was willing to trade. I think that's more what it was. I kind of feel
Metcalf too.
but I kind of feel I feel like just because he didn't ask for a first, I think he honestly asked for more in DK Metcalf. Because I think Metcalf's more valuable than Thielen.
He can't ask me for a first.
Well, that's true too.
We'll get to that.
But I don't know.
I think the other thing that made me hesitate was, well, Fitzpatrick. Again, I give him a few weeks as a starter.
Mm-hmm.
And what the hell's even up with Sammy Watkins?
I think it's like 1 year. I think he was just, I don't know. It's just a way for him to get rid of 2 roster spots while maybe if you bid, I don't know his logic. He's not here to say it.
To get younger, probably.
Yeah.
Well, one, to get younger, but my question, though, is what's going on with Sammy Watkins? Is he even playing this year? I thought he was talking about sitting out a year or possibly.
They restructured his contract.
They did?
I must have missed that. He's playing, but it's kind of like, where is he on the depth chart? Like
that too, yeah.
But I don't know. I mean,
he's probably still obviously behind Tyreek Hill, obviously behind Kelsey in terms of who's going to target behind CEH.
He's probably going to be behind Nico.
I don't know about that. I think
there's a chance.
Robinson are the same.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think there's much there with Mecole Hardman, and that's me as a Georgia fan saying that.
I think he's just fast, but
that's it.
Great returner. He might burn some.
Well,
guys,
no, they said
so.
They said that he's not. Well, I mean, I have not researched this to back this up, and only Anthony has told me this, and he told me yesterday. But they said that they're not using him in special teams returning anymore.
No, they're not.
Well, that seems silly to me, but
Anthony was right.
I mean, I trust him. I usually don't like to spit out stuff that just random people tell me.
Yeah, but I don't know. I mean, whatever. Thielen for a first, it kind of was. I had to pay something.
I if I had a first, I probably would have done that too. I love Thielen. He's one of my favorites in the league.
Right. Yeah. I think if you did that trade, I would have liked your side more, just because I think Metcalf's more valuable than Thielen, and I think Fitzpatrick and Watkins are maybe not 100% useless in Dynasty, but it's definitely nothing. There's nothing there for them.
Right.
And then to give another pick, it's
Mike.
fine,
I heard a rumor that the only reason why you traded for Adam Thielen is so Tom couldn't trade for him.
That had to do with it a little bit. Was sort of play keep away from another team, just getting another guy that played into it. Maybe I'm not going to say 50-50 it played into it, but it was a bit of a factor as to why I just pulled the trigger.
I think.
Yeah, but even you've always been a Thielen fan, though. As far as I remember.
Well, I had him in the keeper league at a nice keeper spot when we did that. So I mean, I was especially. I mean, and it's always great when you hit on a guy when he breaks out.
Yeah.
But I figured let me add another guy. I feel like I'm lacking that. I mean, my receivers have potential. We'll go over it more when we do my roster eventually. But I figured why not add another option? Who knows? And yeah, the keep away part is definitely real.
Again, I don't think it's a bad trade. I mean, I think Thielen has some juice. I think when Kirk Cousins is actually on, he's on and will get the ball to Thielen.
My other thought. Oh, go ahead. Yeah, my other thought process was just if he bounces back, his value goes up from there. Maybe depending on the who knows. Like I said, he's 30. He's 30. Maybe there's not much, but maybe it would have cost me. Maybe it would have cost me 2 firsts midseason or a first and a couple cents. Like I don't know.
The Vikings picked Jefferson?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, so he has somebody across from him again now that Diggs is off in good old Western New York.
Well, the one thing that worries me a little bit about Thielen is we saw Jefferson as basically only a slot guy at LSU.
Big slot, yep.
And they already, if I am remembering this correctly too, they already said that he's only really going to play the slot for them. And that's where Thielen has got the majority of his production from. When they moved him into the slot, that's when he took that step up and they moved Diggs to the outside. Yeah. So that worries me if they kick Thielen back to the outside for the majority of the time.
Yeah.
I can see that.
When the season starts, a 30-year-old wide receiver, we've seen guys on the outside
with a hamstring issue. We're coming off.
Yeah, we've seen guys on the outside start to not be as productive like a guy like Des Bryant.
Well, that's. I mean, my worry is like you could say, oh, Diggs left, so that obviously opens it up. But they love the 2 tight end sets. They love they obviously have Jefferson, and they. I mean, I said the 2 tight ends. They're still going to throw to the running backs, and the Vikings were just a bottom 10 passing team last year. Like no matter which way you break it down, like that still means something, regardless of whether I mean, I know there's production in that offense, but. You know,
And
obviously
that's
it's the
with a
risk,
poor
but it is what it is.
defense. Their defense is bound to regress towards the mean, which potentially means they're going to slow down their pace.
Or they throw the ball more if they give up more points. There's always that factor.
Yeah.
But
so
and if Dalvin Cook holds out, which I mean, I guess maybe we can discuss the relevance if there is any. I think he'll play, but if he does somehow hold out, like I don't know. I think that the track record of holding out's not great for running backs. I mean, Le'Veon Bell is probably the exception.
Oh, never mind. You said it out loud.
Yeah, Le'Veon Bell's probably the exception. You look at Melvin Gordon, who held out, and then he said, "Oops, let me come back," and now he's on a small contract in Denver.
Yeah,
they offered Melvin Gordon $10 million a year, and then he didn't get that in Denver. So.
Right,
and he missed an entire year of pay.
And to be fair, Le'Veon Bell didn't exactly get what he wanted. I mean, he got a nice contract, but the money he wanted, he didn't exactly get himself. But he's still.
I think that was less. I think it was still less than what Pittsburgh actually offered him.
I don't think. I think it was more guaranteed. That was what he wanted.
It might have been more guaranteed. Yeah,
it was more guaranteed.
It was less per year.
It was less per year, more guaranteed. However, you have to remember, he went to the Jets.
Yeah. So he's
dead. And
his soul is burned.
And he's playing for Adam Gase.
Oh yeah. It's all going against him. But all right,
he'll still produce. He'll still produce. Yeah. You know, I say this stuff, but he'll produce.
Yeah. So let's get
one last thing. I just wanted to. I wanted to just give my opinion on the trade itself. Mm-hmm. I think it's a fine trade. It's probably going to end up being a late first, but at worst it'll be a mid first. I think it was about even. Personally, I'm not the biggest Adam Thielen fan, but I still think the trade was about even. But the one thing is, when I look at your roster, I don't think that you particularly needed Adam Thielen so much that it was worth getting rid of a first-round pick.
Well, like you said, it was partly to make sure Tom didn't get him.
Yeah,
too, and that's like
just Tom.
That's like
only Tom. Tom, who has a million wide receivers.
Tom, who can give away fucking Allen Robinson.
I don't have a if I had like a surefire like DeAndre Hopkins and Michael Thomas type guy on my roster, maybe I wouldn't have made it. But
gee, why'd you pick those two guys?
Yeah, because Alex has them fucking both.
Hey, so
I think that was more my reasoning is because, and I'm not saying Thielen's the surefire like guy, but it was like if I had, let me just add to my options. But whatever is what it is.
I found out, by the way, last year there were 4 receivers in the National Football League who had 100 receptions. There were like a couple that had 99, so like whatever. And one of these guys had exactly 100. But if we take the cutoff at 100 receptions, 4 guys: Michael Thomas, DeAndre Hopkins, Keenan Allen, Julian Edelman. My 4 starters.
Oh my God.
So I found out, I guess my dynasty strategy for wide receivers is just get as many receptions as I possibly can.
Just get players who are good.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, yeah.
Like PPR is like this godsend. That's why like someone like Jamison Crowder can be fantasy relevant even in the slightest bit, just because his 10 catch, 60-yard games go a long way in fantasy. All right, let's move to Alex Hochberg's other fire sale trade. So he trades Travis Kelce to Dennis.
Oh yeah, this trade.
And Dennis sends back a 2021 first round pick, a 2022 second round pick, and Donovan Peoples-Jones, which, as we've covered already on previous episodes, is only one person, not in fact 2 people. So
don't
forget for Alex.
Don't forget the $10 of blind bidding.
Oh, yeah. Excuse me, the blind bid dollars.
Hey, those worth a lot.
I would have. It's so tough to value guys sometimes. I think especially tight ends. My feeling is just I think like guys like Kelce and Kittle, like those 2 guys. I feel like maybe he could have gotten 2 first. I think maybe you're splitting hairs at that point though. But I don't know. I mean, how old's Kelce now?
I think he's 30.
He's 31.
He is 30. All right.
Oh, okay.
Wow.
I honestly thought he was. I thought he was like 28.
Yeah, I was
No,
gonna say
I knew he
28.
was a little older.
But
Oh,
I mean,
Lucho,
I
he
guess,
actually, sorry, Luch, he is 30, but he's turning 31 mid-season.
Oh,
okay, so 30, 31 it is what it is. I
Yeah,
guess
31. I
there's a
usually
time
call
that
31.
he'll. I guess there's a time eventually he'll regress, but I don't know. I just think Kelsey's still so good, and he's still like
Number one tight end, man.
the tight end,
Yeah.
the number one tight end.
Yeah.
But again, I think it's splitting hairs saying what Alex
You
could have
think-
gotten.
You think Kelsey's the number one over Kittle?
He's the number one in production, not the number one value in Dynasty. Kittle's the number one value in
because
Dynasty.
Kittle's
Production,
young.
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
Kelsey's still putting up better numbers every year. So
And Kelsey's
Well,
actually
when
a better
Patrick
offense.
Mahomes is throwing you the ball.
yeah, well, I mean, even this year he had for a third of the season. Who even was it? Matt Moore.
Yeah,
God, yeah, you're right.
but I
Even
don't know,
Tyreek
it's-
Hill missed
it's-
half the season too, so it
Right.
was a little
Yeah.
weird. Their running
Yeah.
backs
It's-
didn't do anything.
It's fine. I think it's an awesome trade for Dennis, especially because I think Dennis had a lot of he's built up a lot of draft capital, and like this is how you do build quickly. Is you get this you figure he flips Dak for a first, he gets that back, and then he flips it back for Kelsey essentially. But
Yeah.
I don't know. It's a good trade. I think the bigger question is, could Alex have gotten more, or did he get fair value? Like how do you think Alex did overall trading Kelsey and Thielen?
I think he could have gotten more
Coulda
from
gotten more.
Kelsey, but it's close.
I was talking to him about this while this was going on because I tried to get Kelsey a couple weeks ago, and then when he told me Dennis was trying to get him, then that was like my last shot to try to make an offer, which I wasn't able to. I don't have the assets to do it.
Right.
But after I was done and said I was out, then I gave my real opinion of what he should be looking for, and I said 2 firsts is really what he should be looking for. So
Yeah.
And then we even talked about it today again. It's like,
I mean, he got
That's what I mean.
Kyle's
That's what I
second.
mean.
yeah,
That's
it's Kyle's
almost the
second,
first.
so it's a
Right.
very good.
That's what I
sec-
mean.
very good sec-
That's what I mean. You're splitting hairs at that point.
Yeah, and then Donovan Peoples-Jones. Okay, yeah, he was just picked up on waivers one after the draft, whatever. But like it still is
It's
a
a
guy
dart.
that's
It's a young guy. It's a young prospect
Yeah,
for a
yeah.
team that needs it.
for a team that he's a fan of too.
Yeah.
And-
when I read that, I thought,
And it was another win for Dennis because he didn't have to have any Michigan players on his roster.
Oh.
Oh, that's true.
So this
big,
is
big
very
trade.
lopsided, this trade, because Dennis got more emotional weight out of it.
The monetary value is low, but the sentimental value is through the
Very
roof.
high.
Let me ask you guys though, are you worried about Dennis's team?
Not this year, but I think
No.
he's putting a lot
Hold on.
together.
I need
He's got
to
a really
think-
good mind about him for this.
He didn't
I
have a
mean-
great. I mean, you figure he inherited Deej's roster that finished, I believe it was 8th. So, and I don't know. I think he's got. But again, you figure if Kelsey's going to be 31, does he drop off, and then where do you go from there? I think. I think
Kelsey has
like I
3 or 4.
like
more
I said, I
early
think
years.
I think trading Dak he might regret, but I still think he has good quarterback options.
I'm trying to pull up his roster right now, just like
Yeah, tough day to be my hot dog. Although I told him he needs to change his team into Denny Cashman. So
Oh yeah.
it's way too much sense to be Denny Cashman.
This man
I
is
mean-
not allowed near children's playgrounds.
I think he needs Taylor to hit, or his running backs could be in trouble. I don't know. It's just I don't know. It is what it is. I think
Mhm.
he'll be okay, but I mean Kelsey helps for this year. I think trading for Kelsey might have been honestly not realizing now that I realize he's going to be 31. I would almost say just maybe not go for it and just keep the picks and move forward from there. But
I think it's a
but again, it's the
safer-
person.
Yeah.
If he thinks he's going to compete this year, then yeah.
Well,
it's
I
an
think
absolute
he-
trade to make.
I think he honestly elevated himself into ahead of those other like fringe teams that I was talking about
Yeah.
before. I think he's another tier up from that. So
I agree.
good shot to make the playoffs. And everyone knows anything can happen in the playoffs. So
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I know.
Let's. All right, let's get. Was this the last trade of the week?
No.
No. There's
Oh,
one.
no.
There's
Okay.
another one.
Scalzo.
Yeah.
Thank
no,
you.
no. I meant
Thank
to
you.
say this trade I'm about to say was
Oh,
that the
okay.
last big one. I think it was. Tom got Jared Cook. I guess I'll mention that.
But yeah,
Oh, yeah.
that happened. Those are the last two.
Oh, look at that. Tom
second-
finally got a tight end.
He gets Jared Cook for a second.
And he has Noah
It's fine.
Fant.
He said he
Who?
tells me he doesn't trust Noah Fan.
What is
George
Denver,
Fant?
other Denver tight end's name? Yeah, George Fant. George
Oh,
Fant
you
has
mean-
as many
You
tight
mean
end
Denver
scores.
Denver tight end number 2 that will reveal if no one knows it will reveal on the next
Stay
episode.
tuned for next week when we reveal his name.
When I can't pronounce, Alex has already mispronounced the name, so we can't even blame it all
whatever.
on me this week.
It's not
All
a
right, so yeah, so
it's
so
not
Tom,
a current NFL player, so that's why I don't have to pronounce it correctly.
All right, so Thom PayPal Dongle Moose, Phil himself, he's made some fucking awesome moves. He gets Odell Beckham from Anthony. He got Odell Beckham in a 2021 fourth, and he sent over to Anthony. Let's see, a 2021 first round pick. Is that your new team name, Lucho, that I just am noticing? Because I'm pretty sure he sent your
Dynasty?
pick over. So he gets your 2021
Shady
first.
Nasty.
He sends over 2 2021 second round picks and a 2021 third round pick, which is Kyle's pick, so it could potentially be the 25th pick,
Yeah.
26th pick. So a high third. I mean, I'll say this. Whenever I asked Anthony about Odell,
Sorry.
whenever
the team picture. Nice, Luch.
whenever I asked Anthony about Odell Beckham, his negotiations always started and stopped with 2 first round picks. So if you don't break down what Phil offered, it's annoying. Where I'm like, oh, okay, so he wants 2 first, but probably it's fine. Fuck Anthony. So he gets it for a first, 2 seconds, and a third, which I would have paid, but I obviously like projecting my picks. It's better value coming from Phil with whose picks are going, especially the 1 second rounder from Joey, which could be high, and then Kyle's third, which could be again 25th or 26th at worst.
Yeah. And then
So,
of course
I mean,
my first has a better chance to be higher than yours. It's projected to be higher. I don't know if he was thinking about that much, but still.
I don't think he was, but looking at the trade, even if I offered him the same deal, it's better value coming from Phil. So I get it.
I'll tell you that in the end, these guys were arguing over what third round pick needs to be included. And then that's when it came to me. I was with Anthony, so we were talking about it. Then I came home and I was with Phil, so we were talking about it. And Phil had to like write out every single piece, put it on a separate piece of paper so he could like explain it and move the papers around so that everything was going on. And then I listened to his whole thing and I was like, so you're down to this third round pick. On one side it said Kyle's third, the other side just said third. I was like, this is what you're arguing over and why this deal can't get done? Like, this is stupid. Just make the deal. Like,
Right.
Like,
I
do it at that point.
Like, what's like what the difference between the 26th pick and if Phil wins, it becomes the 36th pick. Like, yeah, if you're arguing over Odell Beckham over 10 slots in the draft, it's
like I know
not that.
I know me and Lucho have made a couple trades, and like, okay, there might be a counter offer where it's like get something like a third round pick gets added in, and the other person's like, all right, yeah, sure.
Yeah, sure,
like
fine,
it's not
whatever.
it's not a thing. It's just like a
Well, I don't know if that pick is high enough.
Yeah,
this is the difference between
was...
drafting Antonio Gibson and Darrington Evans.
Right? Like...
Can I give a hot take?
Sure.
I love Beckham. You know, obviously, Giants fan.
It's a pretty hot take.
I love Beckham. Yeah. I think by far Beckham's best days are behind him. And I wouldn't have traded that.
I think so too.
I know I'm not one to talk about trades. I get that. But I don't know. I feel like his best days are behind him. I don't think he clicks that well with Baker Mayfield, who does in the Browns. And I don't know.
Jarvis
I definitely.
Landry.
What?
Jarvis Landry.
Okay, yeah, okay, that's fair.
I thought you said Cedric. I was like, what are you talking about?
My friend Cedric.
But I don't know. I don't feel Beckham is what he used to be by far.
I think for me, I agree with you. It's weird because I had no issue trading a first for Thielen, but then like I guess I would have traded it for Beckham. But again, like whenever Anthony would ask me for like 2, especially before our rookie draft, like he wanted the 1.9 and 1.12, and we never got past that because I'm like, well, that's not happening for Beckham. And I agree. I think he can still be a very good fantasy receiver, but like what's his ceiling? Like, is his ceiling still like what it was in what was it, 2016 or something or whatever year?
Personally,
he was unbelievable.
I think his
Personally-
ceiling is somewhere in the 900 yards. Yeah.
Personally, I think his ceiling is still there. I think the odds are extremely low that he hits that ceiling, but I think the ceiling is still there. I also think he will bounce back at least somewhat because I'm one of the people that thinks a bunch of the problems that they had last year was Freddie Kitchens.
Oh, by far. By
Yeah, he
far.
was
So
awful.
I could see Beckham bouncing back.
I will
2015,
say
like-
I think his floor is pretty high. I'll say that.
At
But
this point, I would agree.
I just don't think his ceiling is that high anymore.
I guess my other question is, if you talk to Anthony like less than a week ago, his opinion of his team was he had the third best roster. So why the sudden turnaround? Like, did he rethink his team and
So
realize
yes,
maybe it's
this
not?
is. I was
maybe
just
it's
about to
not
make
as
this
good?
point. I was just about to make this point, but I was like letting the conversation go on a little bit. But I think he finally had the realization after teetering back and forth of whether his team is very good or whether he should just blow it up and rebuild. I think he finally hit the point where he's like, you know what, I should rebuild, which is the right idea. So,
It's the,
so
yeah.
that I think that's why the price changed, because yes, he was looking for 2 firsts because he thought his team was really good, and then when he gets to the point where he's rebuilding, he's like, all right, because I don't want to risk it and hold on to Beckham too long and then the value to, like, say he doesn't bounce back and then all of a sudden his value just like
Craters.
yeah, I think it was that where he just wanted to take,
my argument to him thinking his team was good and his Beckham price is, if you think you're really good, who cares if they offer you 4 firsts? If you think Beckham's that good, why not just keep him if you think your team is that good? Like, that's my
you
opinion
can
of
flip
some
it.
of my own
That's
players.
that's my thing. I don't like. Okay, yeah, sure, Beckham could have him, but if you're getting 4 firsts, I'd take that deal. I would take like.
I mean,
5 firsts
I mean,
from,
4
Tomlin.
I mean, 4 is an exaggeration, but it's just one of those, like, if you think you're like, I feel that way with like George Kittle. Like, it would take a stupid overpayment for me to even consider it.
It's
because
different
I'm a
when you
contender.
have. It's different when you have arguably the top guy at his position.
It's true.
Beckham is not the wide receiver 1, and he's not going to be the wide receiver 1 in my opinion.
True.
So it's like,
Makes sense.
if you think like if you already have McCaffrey, you can't get any better. If you already have Kittle, I mean, sure, Kelsey can get you a couple more points, but you already have the top value. You know,
True.
you already have that. So, but if you get a guy that's still in like a high tier, you could take those picks, flip them, and then possibly get someone that was better.
That's you're right. That makes sense.
Kind of like how
I guess
with Evan Ingram. Like when I was trying to get Kelsey, and that's why I was trying to move Evan Ingram. I think Evan Ingram's still a top 5 tight end, but
When healthy.
well, sure, that's a big if too.
yeah.
Yeah.
But
When he is healthy, absolutely.
I think he's a top 5 tight end, but I would have moved him for sure if I could have flipped a bunch of stuff and gotten Kelsey out of it, which improved my team. So.
Right.
Yeah.
No, of course. But all right. So what about Phil's side? So now you add Beckham. He's added Allen Robinson and Odell Beckham to his receiver group that wasn't very good. Honestly, since we covered his roster, I think he's added these 2 guys. So I mean, where does that put him?
I made
Like,
I made the mistake of opening his fucking roster page, and that stupid sound went over whatever you were saying. I'm so sorry.
I said, yeah. From Phil's point of view, like, did he? Because he's added Beckham and Robinson to his receivers group that he hated pre-draft. That's why we were all shocked he took the running backs. But what does this do for him now, getting Beckham? Like, did he overpay, or was this the right move for his team?
Potentially. It might be a bit much because he's got like, I would say 6 confident starters. Like, you could easily, like, now. And then you, of course, have high draft capital and Brandon Ayuk and N'Keal Harry. You have a riser and Anthony Miller. He's got a lot in that room, and I feel like that is a good problem to have, but it may end up causing a couple issues.
Okay.
I have 2 thoughts. One, I would have made that trade for Beckham without the first. If it was the 2 seconds and the third, I probably would have considered that. The first, I went through. Okay.
There's
yes,
no
but-
way it would have happened.
No, I
Yeah,
know.
well-
I was shocked.
I know.
I was shocked Anthony traded him without getting 2 firsts, because I thought he was like super firm on that price. But again,
That's fair.
like you
think
like
Anthony
you
is super
break
firm?
you.
Wait, what'd you say?
Oh geez.
Enjoy that in your nightmares.
It's in my head. It's not going to leave now. I guess that breaks down the trades. I think a busy week, man. I love when there's trades. Like my first thought now when there's like big trades is, ooh, yes,
we
content.
can talk about it, yeah.
As if we need to stretch this to fill time. We could literally do the day we do 45 minutes is going to be something. But let's get it. Let's start. Oh, hey, Alex. Let's start breaking down. Oh, good. Here. Let's start breaking down rosters, shall we?
All right.
So we'll start with Skylar, the top seed that nobody will remember, and the 4th place finisher in our inaugural season. And he's obviously been here for an hour or so into this?
About.
Yeah.
So let's just all right. Let me go into your team and
I'm pulling my team up too.
All right. So I'll just start with listing your quarterbacks, and then we'll get into what everybody wants to know. Yeah. So your quarterbacks are you have Jacoby Brissett, Jake Fromm, Brian Hoyer, Kyler Murray, and Tua Tagovailoa. So we'll start with Tua. So I know you touched on it before, but okay. So 3 firsts and a third. Why the big overpayment for Tua? First of all, just for Tua. I know you said like you probably liked him, he has whatever, but why like the whole when Joey came to me wanting he wanted like 4 firsts from me, and I was like, yeah, not happening. I was like, I thought he was throwing shit at the wall, and then he was just gonna make his pick because I didn't think anybody would pay anywhere near that. So
well, you were proven wrong.
The floor is yours. So
now, before we get into my roster, period, I want to give a disclaimer. If you want a horrible example of somebody who has done 10 years of keeper leagues,
we're creeping up there.
Yeah, and by the way, correction, I'm also still in that league, Mike. As far as I know.
League. Right, Luch?
It was so long ago.
As I noted, me and Luch are on the trophy, so.
Yeah.
Well,
we're actually the first. Correct? Are we the first and second names on the trophy?
We are actually.
Yeah.
Credits to Tony Romo and DeMarco Murray for that year. Thanks, guys.
Oh, by the way, I want to make a quick side note. And I do this every season, and Mike knows why. Fuck Derek Carr.
Okay, John Gruden.
No. Fucking, if it wasn't for that fucking fumble in Philadelphia, I would have won that year.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Literally.
Was it the dad auto draft year? Too?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah.
That was the dark ages.
Like I said, garbage league.
All he had to do was hold on to that damn ball. Mike was saying I should have been driving down on I-95 ready to go on a rampage. I can't say, Bob. Not seriously.
Also, guys, watch out. David Carr might leave a review. Just
yikes.
shitting all over
name
our
searching.
Yep.
Anyway, back to my original point. If you want someone who's been in the mindset of redraft leagues for 10 years and is all of a sudden entering the world of Dynasty, I'm the worst example you can think of. I mean, because of me, Alex has Ben Roethlisberger. You're welcome.
Yeah.
Because after I did that, I was just like, oh, fuck, I'm thinking of the next few years, not just this year. So now that we've gotten that disclaimer out of the way, Tua. I didn't think at the time when Mike mentioned it that I should have maybe looked after, could I get Lamar for that? Could I get Patrick Mahomes for that? Although, would you guys have taken that haul for one of those quarterbacks?
Maybe for Jackson, not Mahomes.
I need
if you're trading Mahomes, you're getting like somebody's first round picks for the rest.
Like I said earlier, as a team competing, and Mike made that point, there's really no point to me trading Mahomes. But maybe if someone offered me like 5 or 6 first round pick value,
exactly.
I'd consider it.
Exactly.
Sure. But that's like double what you gave Joey, so
That depends. Yeah, it depends on the time.
And I think I'll just say that like maybe your counterpoint to like my point of saying why not is that like the quarterback you might get might might turn out to not be as good as Tua. Like, what realistically, what quarterback could you? What NFL like good quarterback would you get for 3 firsts?
Yeah,
Like, what level?
basically, the only guys
Like,
I probably would.
Like, I don't know if you would do it, but I would take 3 firsts for Josh Allen.
Yeah, you could have got Allen. You could have got Wentz
Like-
for sure because we saw this. You could have got Dak. We saw what Dak went for, and Dak's a top.
No, I'm not taking
Well,
Dak.
I mean, you might not have wanted him, but as a guy that's valued
Yes.
in the top 5 across the dynasty,
Yeah.
83 and things.
Yeah, but the second he loses one O lineman or Zeke, he's like average.
Well, right,
Um,
but I don't think Josh
What'd you
Allen's
say?
that good of an NFL quarterback. But fantasy,
he's not.
Oh,
I'm
fantasy wise, yeah, Josh Allen's a great quarterback.
That's another conversation because
exactly. But it's beside the
possibility
point.
they don't even pay him after his rookie deal, but for fantasy, he's awesome.
Exactly right. But I think for you, but it's like.
What about
tough,
Deshaun Watson?
Yeah, absolutely.
You might.
Could
Yeah,
you
I think
see
I
a
think-
lineup?
I offered
Well-
Anthony my entire 2021 draft class, my 2020 first round pick at the time, and then like Gronk, who at the time didn't mean anything. But like, I gave him
I
two.
still don't think he does.
I gave him an offer of 2 firsts. I gave a second, third, and fourth. I gave another player. I think I had like another third round pick there, and he said no. So
I
I,
would've taken him.
don't think he would have accepted 3
Yeah,
firsts. Maybe
I would
he
have.
would.
I would have
don't
taken
know.
it for Watson.
Well, I personally would have taken it as well, but like,
Right. Was there
However,
like can I say did Joey start the negotiations at what you paid, or like who initiated the conversation?
I think we were on the clock. I'm trying to like remember in my head right now because I want to say we were close to being on the clock or he was on
he
the clock.
stalled while he was on the clock for a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh,
he
yeah.
did. And I think I gave one offer. He gave a counter offer, and I was sitting there like, oh crap. I need a quarterback back. You know what? Fuck it. And you know what? I like Tua over. I mean, out of this quarterback class, the only other guy I probably would have considered was trying to get Burrow.
I actually personally like Tua better than Burrow, but
Yeah,
close.
I
It's
kind of
close,
do.
but
But
Yeah.
we've had that discussion.
But I didn't want Herbert. Not that I think Herbert's gonna be bad. I think Herbert will be solid. Or is it pronounced differently?
Herbert.
Herbert. Oh,
Herbert.
shit.
Sorry,
Well,
Herbert.
I think. Oh yeah, no, go ahead.
But I needed a quarterback. My only guaranteed starter is Kyler Murray, who I think he just got nook. I think, and now he has a full year with Kenyon Drake. I think Kyler Murray's going to put up some good numbers this year. But I can't just have one
I agree. True.
Like, I mean, Jacoby Brissett. I think Jacoby Brissett
Beef
has
brisket.
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 Thank you. I'm hungry now. Thank you. I'll get to that in a second. We're talking about Tua. Basically, I really needed a quarterback. He's young. He's somebody I could start at the beginning with. I think he has the potential to turn Miami around, especially now that the AFC East isn't being held hostage anymore. Now we know him. And you know what? It's either I hit on him and I have a great starter for the next couple of years, or we're gonna have a fire sale in a few months.
True. The only thing I'll say is forget even if you wanted to take that whole package and get a quarterback. I think you could have taken maybe just the 1.11, right? 1.11. Yeah. I think you could have taken that and gotten a capable starting quarterback. I think you could have been able to flip it for Kirk Cousins. I think you definitely could have flipped it for Gardner Minshew. I don't know. I wouldn't have paid that for him, but
I would not. No, I like Minshew Mania, but no, not that. I'm not giving up first.
Right, but I think Matt Ryan could have been available. I think there could have been a good group of guys, especially to get you by for the next year or two with a solid super flex. Because Murray's QB1, there's no doubt. I think throwing all that draft capital into that, again, it could pay off because they're draft picks. All your picks Joey could make, they could bust. And Tua could be a 15-year starter for all we know. Who the hell knows?
So,
but, like, personally, I think I trade that pick for some like mid-tier starting quarterback only because you have such a good QB1, any sort of super flex, and I think you would have been in a better spot having your future picks, especially if you think you're a contending team, because then you have that future capital to grab a running back, grab a receiver if you think you're one guy away. I think that's your biggest. I think
mean,
that was the big hurt with that trade,
if
more
we're-
so than holy shit.
If we're talking about, people are saying that, oh, I have the third best team in the league and all that. I'm going to go ahead and say I think I have the highest floor and I have the lowest floor and the highest ceiling in this league.
I'll agree.
I could see that
I'll
too.
agree.
Because I think I could make the championship game. I think I could win one game. I think I'll go one of those two ways.
Just to go back on acquiring other assets instead, as a team that is competing and in the theory of being a competing team for anybody, I'd rather trade a non-first round pick for someone else. Like last year, I traded a second with Lucho for Phillip Rivers. Yeah, it wasn't really the greatest thing that worked out, but I didn't really give up that much to get him. And then I traded him back to Lucho for what was probably the equivalent of about like 2/3. So, I got a half a year out of him. In a year I was making a playoff run, I could get a QB. And to trade for a rookie QB, that's a little risky for me, because rookie QBs, we even saw Kyler Murray. Yeah, he had a pretty good season, but he wasn't. I don't even think he was a QB1. I think he just had a decent season. Now going into the second,
he might have been right
I
outside.
think he ended. No, I think he ended in the top 10. Like maybe at 10, but I'm pretty sure he was pretty high up.
but historically, whatever it is, whatever his actual stats are, historically, rookie QBs don't produce like top 5 seasons. Don't even really produce top 10 seasons overall. It usually takes that second year to get used to the system, get used to the speed of the NFL. So to trade that much for a rookie QB when you're competing is a little risky to me.
Unless you're running a lot, which.
Well,
that's a
Kyler
little
Murray
different.
is.
Yeah,
But
which I was just gonna say.
Well,
Tua is not really that QB.
Murray finished 7th.
Well, he's definitely not that QB with that hip.
Yeah, but even fully healthy, he's not really. He can run. It's kind of the same way how Mahomes can run, but he's not a rushing QB.
Right.
So I'll say this about the quarterbacks. I think week 1, obviously Kyler Murray QB1, but then Superflex is a question mark because
Right.
Brissett's not starting anymore. Obviously, I don't even think Jake Fromm's the backup in Buffalo. Brian Hoyer, maybe
Not anymore.
I don't
Right.
know.
Maybe.
They
Brian
like
Hoyer's
Hoyer's up there.
Wait, which one?
Buffalo.
Yeah,
Hoyer,
liked
Hoyer
I
could
liked-
start.
I
Hoyer
liked
might,
Fromm
I
and
think-
Cobb. Hoyer's
I
a
think-
50-50.
I think New England likes Jared Stidham, but it's open. But,
Stidham's that guy.
and then
Hoyer's
and then
been in that
Tua-
system.
right, exactly. And then of course, obviously, we've been discussing Tua for 10 minutes, and he probably not week 1. Eventually, I think he starts, but as a reliable super flex. I mean, who knows?
What is? I'm trying to look up Tua's bye week, or Miami's bye week.
So while you do that,
Week
back
11.
I'll go back to the Kyler.
No, I think he'll be a starter long before that.
So going back to the Kyler Murray thing on a points per game basis, he finished QB 13, but again, we have to take Jeff Driscoll out, so he was just the QB1 at QB 12.
So he was right outside, yeah.
But that's usually rookie QBs don't do better than that. That doesn't mean anything going forward. I think he's actually a very good QB going forward.
I think
has Nuck now.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think DeAndre Hopkins gives him such a big boost. Just having a guy who you can throw the ball anywhere and he's probably grabbing it. That helps. And just again, year 2,
The
you have a year
immortal
under your
Larry
belt, more
Fitzgerald.
confidence.
The immortal Larry Fitzgerald.
Exactly. Right. It'll be fine. But again, I think for your roster, that's where, as a contending team, like I said, Tua might turn out to be a top 5 quarterback one day. I mean, who knows? You never know. But I think in terms of making the trade, yeah, we can talk about you overpaid. You can talk about a million things, but it is what it is. I think again, your bigger problem is just if you are competing and you need a guy, you don't have you might not have the draft capital to go and get a piece mid-season. But
I'll address that as we go through my roster.
yeah, of course. All right, so let's go to running backs, which I mean, we've already said that this is the top ranked.
Such a
running
weak
back
running
room.
back room.
I know, such
Bunch of
crap.
bums.
So you have Saquon Barkley, Frank Gore, Derrick Henry, Naheem Hines, Travis Homer, Adrian Peterson, and Ito Smith and James White. So you have obviously that's 2 top 5 running backs in Barkley and Henry. And then you have James White, who still kills it in PPR. He's probably still going to kill it in PPR.
James White somehow manages to put up points for me.
So you easily have your 2 running backs and a flex. And
You got
honestly, you're
Naheem Hines, who could be the next James
Right.
White
They're-
style guy.
They're talking him up.
Yeah. I think there's so many guys in Washington. I don't think Adrian Peterson's that relevant anymore. A game or two here, but they have a lot of guys they like with like Gibson and stuff.
Gibson,
and like obviously
Geis.
Darius Geis.
Geis, what's the over/under on him getting injured again?
It could happen, but if healthy, I think you like.
If
him
healthy,
more.
yeah, he's a starter.
Love is still there too.
Right, yeah, Bryce Love. And Love's another
Um,
interesting injury case.
Yeah.
What
But
was
again,
what
I
was
think.
Geis'
And
injury
Peyton
last year?
Barber. Don't forget about Peyton
Oh,
Barber.
excuse me.
Wait, Payne Barber's not in the Bucks anymore? I missed that?
No.
He's on
No,
Washington.
Washington.
What did he do?
I think this is a good.
Oh
it's-
wait,
it's-
and J.D. McKissick. Sorry, don't forget
Oh,
about
I
that.
forgot he went there. He's going to be like
Yeah.
the new Chris
Siphon.
Thompson.
Yeah.
And Josh Ferguson.
Josh
So
Freeman?
yeah.
I feel like I've heard Josh Ferguson before. Like he was
sounds
somewhere
familiar.
last year.
Yeah, he was the brother on Clitus. That explains it all.
He
was
used to
a
be
joke
on
for
the.
four
He used to be on the
people.
Texans. The Texans, 2018, 2019. He was one of
Really?
those random guys that would come.
Oh. He
I
was one
didn't
of the
think I'd hear a
guys-
Clarissa
yeah.
Explains It All reference in 2020, but here we are.
Yeah.
Actually, he was on the Colts too. Maybe that's where he used to randomly come in. a couple years
Oh, that might be it, actually, yeah.
ago. Mhm.
Get at me, Melissa
but yeah,
Joan
look.
Hart in 1999.
Jesus. But all right. So you've got you're running back 1 and 2. I don't think you can't do any better than that. Although I'll say not to bring up
I
another
traded.
trade, but you traded a lot to get Saquon. You traded in our startup. We swapped first. You gave me a third and a first this year in the rookie draft. So looking back, would you still make the same trade and have Saquon, or would you rather have what it turned out to be, which was Zeke, Josh Jacobs, and Justin Herbert?
Nope, I gave Saquon. You know why?
Why?
Missed 3 games, spent the entire rest of the season basically on 1 foot with a rookie quarterback, and the Giants, love my Giants, cannot create an offensive line for shit. And he still broke 1,000 yards. By 1 yard, but he did it.
I mean, listen, hey, if you stand by it, I was glad to make that trade.
I know you
You can get the guys, so I
He was the
figured I
guy I
had to
wanted,
ask.
and he was the guy I
had to ask.
wanted, and I still think that he has the potential to be the best back they've had since Tiki Barber.
Wow. Good old
Hey.
Tiki Barber.
Hey,
That's
he's an
fine.
asshole.
This
He's
was
an
the best
asshole,
back
but he's a
since
talented
Tiki Barber.
asshole.
Right. That's fine. Look, and that's fine. I figured I had to ask. But look, you can't do much better. It's 2 top 5 running backs, and
That's
one of
not
the
even
best,
my concern.
and one of the best PPR running backs out, like one of the underrated, undervalued, whatever you want to call it. Like I feel like James White always kind of not gets lost, but you're always like, oh fuck, okay, James White. But then when he puts up
Mhm.
15 points in like the first half, you're just scratching your head when you face him.
Yeah,
Always.
and I think if Stidham is the starter there, he's gonna want that safety.
Well, I think it's Bill Belichick. You're going to see the same system. Like you're not going to see like all of a sudden you're not going to see Stidham start throwing bombs down the field. Like
No.
it's going to be the same thing that it was. I still think guys on New England like Edelman's still going to be productive. James White's still going to be productive. Maybe Sony Michel's more productive. Maybe they run the ball more, but I think they might not be as good without Tom Brady, but you're still going to say the same. You're going to see the same system, and I think the same guys will be fantasy relevant, and James White's one of them. So
Right.
a solid, and honestly, I think he's a good enough like running back 2 if you were lacking. Like if one of your guys gets hurt, or obviously you have bye weeks, I think like James White's fine. The problem is after that though. After that third running back, it drops off a lot. There's not a lot unless like Frank Gore is still Frank Gore, and maybe he's good for a spot start. Probably not.
I
But
think Frank Gore is going to be a short yard and goal line guy.
maybe you start him if you
Maybe
need a
not-
touchdown.
Not as much as he used to be, because
Right.
as much as I talk shit about Le'Veon Bell,
Mhm.
he's still Le'Veon Bell.
He's not useful for anyone's team, but he's just annoying for a Le'Veon Bell owner. That's what I think.
Exactly.
Agreed.
I am surprised he went to the Jets, honestly. But
I think we
Adam Gase, his relationship with Adam Gase when he was in
yeah,
Miami.
from Miami.
Yep.
I think
yeah,
we
that makes
said,
sense.
yeah, we said Naheem Hines could, do something. So
They're
if
talking.
we're-
They're talking up
Maybe.
Naheem Hines. So
Right. So again, but
And
there's a lot of guys there though. So like for me, like I don't like if you're already talking about what Taylor and Marlon Mack still. So maybe he does something, but enough to be more than a spot start when you're desperate, like a deep starter. I feel like you're not getting much more than that. So outside of your three guys, that's where the concern is for me for running backs. Like I said, some guys maybe could hit. Smith even. If Todd Gurley's knees don't hold up, because what is it? It's Ito Smith and Brian Hill
Yeah.
behind
You see,
Gurley.
my
So
concern,
if-
And
my
Cosby
concern
also.
lies within my top 3 running backs. Derek Hill's situation. Like, is he going to stay in? Is he going to stay in
Right.
Tennessee? Is he going to hold out because of the tag?
I don't know. I still think even if he goes somewhere else, I think the ability's still there. I don't think he's going to go from this beast who can break off a 99-yard run. I don't see him just instantly going to being some backup or in a committee by next year. I think the problem is Derrick Henry turns on the second half of the year. So if you have to go 8 games with Henry sort of struggling, I feel like that's been the case the last 2 seasons. Maybe less so last year, but I feel like 2018, you were like, fuck this guy. And then he was a monster the last few weeks of the fantasy season.
Well, early on, wasn't he stuck sharing work with DeMarco Murray? I think.
Yes.
But DeMarco Murray's been gone for a couple of years now, though, no?
Yeah.
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 Right. So.
And then
it's there,
Deion
I
Lewis
think.
was annoying.
That was like 2016.
Yeah, and I know. Well, I think by last year, Deion Lewis's snaps were gone. They knew, or just feed Henry.
Yeah, and Derrick Henry, friggin' Russian champion.
Right, but look,
I
again,
see some beast mode in him.
A little bit. I mean, he's certainly strong enough,
Mm-hmm.
but it's just I think your top 2 and your flex are good, and I mean, like I said, it's a lot of you never know. One injury could derail you, and I'll get into that with your receivers too. I think that's a big thing with your whole roster. But let's go.
Yes.
Let's look at your receivers.
That's why I said high ceiling, lowest floor.
Exactly. So let's look. All right. So your receivers, you have Cole Beasley, John Brown, Deshaun.
I don't know how that happened there. By the way.
Got 2 of them.
Breaking news.
Oh.
Uh-oh.
I officially made a trade on air.
Oh, wait, hold on.
It's extremely small.
I want to see this.
Very small. The trade I was kind of trying to do for a month now, at least a month. So I'll let her.
Oh,
yes.
You did it.
I traded Greg Olsen for a 2021 third-round pick, which is actually my 2021 third-round pick coming back to me. So
it happened.
Phil sent me the offer a few minutes ago, and I just checked Twitter really quick to make sure there wasn't something crazy with Greg Olsen all of a sudden, getting traded to the Patriots or something.
Everyone on his team.
Yeah, something like that. So
you were a little silent. I was like, "What's happening over there?"
Oh well, I muted myself to try to find a breaking news sound, but I
thought so. No, I heard something. But all right, so there's Wow, first time ever a trade completed on the podcast.
Thanks, Phil, for sending me the offer.
There's a ratings bump right there.
For sure.
All right. So anyway, all right, your receivers. I'll just list them again. So Cole Beasley, John Brown, Deshaun Jackson, Julio Jones, DK Metcalf. Oh man, Cordell Patterson, who somehow is on this app is projected to have 10 points, which I find hilarious.
I know. I'm looking at it right now.
Also somehow still called a wide receiver.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't get that either.
Yeah.
Rashad Perryman. Yeah, that rounds it out. So look, obviously Julio Jones, big time wide receiver 1. Still, even at 31.
He's always a lock for 1,400 yards, man.
I got a pretty decent offer for him
and
too.
Somewhere around 100 receptions.
From who? Please tell.
Hold on.
Nothing gets by us here. All your shit comes out.
Oh yeah. I was offered a 2022 first round pick and Austin Hooper.
Oh, Austin Hooper. I know which team has Austin Hooper.
Who could that have been?
I would have done that trade if he wasn't on the Browns.
I wouldn't have done that trade. I don't think it's enough for Julio if you think you're competing.
Yeah,
That's
No,
the thing
I
is,
mean,
if you think you're competing, you can't make it.
yeah.
But if you don't,
Sorry, to go back to this Greg Olson thing really quick, Phil just texted me because I was thinking when I made the trade, he said, didn't he say on an episode, tight ends are like eyes, you only need 2.
yeah.
And then he texts me
Yeah.
and goes, you only need 2 tight ends until they both have the same fucking bye week.
Until you close both of them.
All right, continue with the Julio Jones talk. I love
Can-
it.
Can Phil see it?
But yeah, so look, Julio, obviously you're big time number 1. But I think last year you started Cole Beasley and John Brown a pretty good amount. So does that concern you with Stephon Diggs in Buffalo now?
Oh, 100%. I was going to get to that because Cole Beasley, I think, is not going to be as,
He's still a slot guy. I would think
Yeah,
John
he's a
Brown's
slot
more
guy,
effective
yeah.
than Beasley.
Yeah. Well, no, John Brown was really good last year.
Yeah. John Brown's always been really good. It's just
He's been really good, but
something holding him back.
I just think Beasley's more of that slot guy, whereas Diggs could potentially. I think Diggs would eat more at John Brown's production
Yeah.
than Cole Beasley is what I mean.
That's
Like,
my
John Brown was
concern.
awesome last year.
Mhm.
That's my concern. I mean, I love Diggs too, but yeah, that's. Also, I don't know how I ended up with the 2 of them. I think one of them must have been like, screw it, I'll just take this guy.
Yeah,
Probably Cole Beasley.
I'm trying to go through. So I mean, you figure, but I mean, is DK Metcalf like a good enough wide receiver 2 yet?
100% yes.
Yeah.
He had his
Apparently-
moments. So does he take the leap this year?
Yes.
Or is Seattle? Or is
I
Seattle
would
still
argue
that
he doesn't
weird?
even need to take a leap. If he can
He just needs to continue what he was doing.
continue the
Second
efficiency that he had in the offense, in an offense that rushed like I think 3rd most in the league, all they have to do is regress to the mean a little bit, and if he can continue that, then you're good.
And Russell Wilson has vocally gone out, you know, as opposed to not talking. But I'm going to say he's been vocal about wanting to pass the ball more and be closer to Kansas City.
Why don't
Chiefs
we
style.
call talking that? I'm just vocally going out with my friends. I will also point out there's a weird trend that's been going on in high stakes dynasty ADPs are coming out, and Lockett's ADP has been falling the 7th most of any player from last year.
Yeah, probably.
I think
DK
people
Metcalf.
have
Lockett-
a lot of faith in Metcalf.
Lockett is also so weird, just like how Russell Wilson is weird, where they're both like incredibly efficient, but that's so scary to have on your team because if they just don't do it one week, we've seen it. Like Russell Wilson has like weeks where he just shits the bed and he's like, you don't even really want him in your super flex spot.
Mhm.
Yeah, but I
And
blame
there's other
that
weeks
more.
where he'll win you a week by himself.
I blame that on that offense line.
On the offense in general, the Pete Carroll's scheme is from like 1982. He won't let Russ cook.
I agree, but you figure Julio, DK Metcalf, and then I think you're not. I mean, I think you have good enough guys for wide receiver 3. That's not a question. It's just a
There-
matter of.
There's
it's just like-
speculation.
It's just.
Sorry,
I mean,
No, you go.
No, you go.
There you go.
I have the right of way, but you go.
Skylar, you
Am I
can
going?
go. I'll break in
Yes.
since you guys can't figure it out.
Okay. They're talking up possibly just Sean Jackson possibly getting the most targets on that team.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
if you look at what happened right before he got injured, 20 minutes into the season, he fucking went insane.
what year is it? It's like so weird that Philly, like you figure with Philly, who Philly has drafted, that somehow still going back to Deshaun Jackson. It seems crazy after all this time.
Jackson's that good too.
Yeah.
I love him.
Oh,
Yeah.
and I think they're going to travel even further back in time. I bet you ain't. I'm putting money on LaShawn
LaShawn
McCoy.
Jackson.
Thank you. LaShawn McCoy ending up back in Philly.
I heard some rumors of that too.
Yeah.
He,
It would make
he,
sense.
I mean, well, he will. Yeah, he would. He's done being fantasy relevant, not to change it.
Oh, yeah.
because they
Right.
have what they have. But right, why
Oh,
not?
yeah.
Why not a reunion? Fuck it. Who traded? Did Chip Kelly trade him originally?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. For Kiko
Okay, so
Alonso.
it's
You don't
Well,
you
Yeah,
don't
so it's
remember
not- so
all
it's
the
not-
all the
it's
stuff
not-
that was going on?
I was living in Buffalo when that happened, and like when I
Was
work, everyone is like, "Holy
I was
shit!"
Yeah, I think I left by that point. I lived in Buffalo. I lived in Buffalo during the Trent Edwards era.
But
I
I think
remember
Deshaun
thinking-
Jackson could boom.
I remember thinking that trade was a lot more fair when it happened because I was really
Yeah.
into Kiko Alonso.
Me too.
Yep, same. Boy, how things changed quickly.
Whoops.
But I
And
mean,
Kiko had
I
a
think,
good rookie year.
I know. Someone, I think what was a news story out of there that some girl blew a guy for a Kiko Alonso jersey. Sad times.
Then he turned out to be Brian Bosworth. Sad.
But I think, but again, we're talking about this handful of guys to be your wide receiver 3 or flex. So I think like you're in a better spot than I originally thought looking at your receivers again, like closely. But I still think though, like if you do have like one injury or even like you might have bye week issues, like I mean, you figure where's Julio's? Yeah, I mean, at least some of your bye weeks aren't exactly like Julio's bye week is week 10. No one else has a week 10 bye, so you shouldn't have a ton of trouble in that department. But if like one guy gets hurt, especially a guy like, I mean, it's very stupid to sit here and explain, oh, if Julio gets hurt, you're in trouble, obviously. But there's not, you could have 6 starters, you could have 3. I mean, it all depends on production. I feel we've said this so much breaking down these teams. It's like, I think your top 2 is solid. And then it kind of is.
Let me ask you about somebody that hasn't even been a blip on this part of the conversation yet. Rashard Perriman kind of blew up towards the end of last season.
I think he did by default, just because everybody in Tampa got hurt. So you're talking about targets going around between him and like what Scotty Miller and Justin Watson at the time, and I guess.
Do you think his situation on the Jets is any better?
I mean, I think he's in a better spot to succeed. I think if he stays in Tampa, he just goes back to the same. Maybe he's a wide receiver 3, maybe he's not. But even look at what Tampa is now. There's too many guys there, and then you add Gronk to Tampa. He was better off leaving. I mean, the Jets were so wide receiver needy, but even the guys the Jets have. I mean, you figure is he gonna even lead? Is he gonna lead the team in targets? I don't know.
But if not him, who?
Denzel Mims in his
Jamison
rookie year.
Crowder.
Yeah.
Maybe Crowder. I mean, Robbie Anderson left.
Yeah.
I need to play the breaking news clip again, but not as big breaking news because it's not an official thing going through. But it's a breaking news of a rumor or a trade offer being sent.
Rumor.
I don't know the full details. I'm just Adam Schefter here, but I don't know the full details of the offer. But I did hear that Anthony has received an offer for Deshaun Watson about 5 minutes ago from somebody in this podcast. I'm not going to say because it wasn't me. But
It wasn't me. I don't have
who
anything
could
to
that
trade.
be?
Wow, must have been Lucho. What's the trade?
Lucha doesn't
Did
have
we-
to share
did-
anything. He doesn't want to.
That's true. Did we say 3 first and Lucho went and offered it or something?
Or should I
Yeah,
just
all
keep
3
digging
of
in
the
and should I
firsts I have.
ask Anthony what's the offer?
Yeah. If I'm Anthony, don't do it.
Hey
I
man,
know
if you
you
want to
want
be
to blow
Adam
your team up,
Schefter,
but don't do it.
if you're
The thing
Adam
is, I
Schefter,
told-
you gotta.
I told
gotta use
Anthony
your
if he's
sources.
about to trade Deshaun Watson, let me know because I might be willing to match and add a little bit more on any offer he's willing to accept. So this might be part of the talking points of driving his price up if it gets to that point. Because I've been trying to get Deshaun Watson basically since the start of draft. Obviously, I have way less shit to do it now than I did then when I offered him the full draft class, almost 2 full draft classes. But
Anthony's going to get bombarded with texts now.
Yeah.
too bad this isn't like a live stream of.
I know, because then everybody
Then
could.
everybody could know. Why don't we have? Yeah, we need polls.
I know. We can have a chat with everyone shitting on me in real time.
Oh,
Oh,
just
shit.
like when Tom plays Madden, yeah. When that is-
We just shit on Tom playing Madden. But where were we? Oh, somehow the Jets receivers too.
I want to go
Something.
back to Perriman really quick because I
yeah.
just
Yeah, that's what we're talking about.
Yeah.
he comped according to Player Profile, his top comp athletically was Kevin White. He had a 73rd percentile dominator. Kevin White was a great prospect. His body never agreed.
What the hell happened there?
That's
You
like
didn't
the
know he
talent.
actually was 60 years old.
Yeah, unfortunately, he had the spine of Charles Dickens, but he has the talent to potentially do something with it. We saw that he has the athleticism if he's given the opportunity, and it all kind of falls into place. Gase holds him back. Darnold holds him back a little bit. Not that I don't think Darnold is bad, but he is a very different quarterback from Jameis, which definitely helped.
You mean he could see?
Yeah. I don't think
Hey,
it's...
Jameis can see now,
All Sam Darnold sees is ghosts, apparently.
I think.
Allegedly.
Allegedly. I don't think it's out of the realm of possibility that Perriman leads the team in touches, or rather in receptions, targets and receptions, but it's not going to be. It would be like more fantasy relevant schemes like number 3 target share.
Probably.
Yeah, I could see that too. By the way, I found out Lucio's offer, which was rejected immediately. In case Lucio, you haven't even seen yet, but you offered a 2022 first round pick, a 2021 second round pick, David Montgomery, and $50 of blind bidding.
I thought the $50 would have really pushed it over the edge.
No, you should have made it. $69.
It's actually funny that
you would have gotten it.
It's funny you said 50 because yesterday when I was talking about trading Will Grier, I sent Will Grier and asked for a 4th back, and then he just goes, "Would you do it for blind bidding dollars?" And I'd be like, "I'd take like 50," and then he just accepted the 4th round pick. So
this comes back to our other podcast where we said, what is blind bidding dollars worth?
I think $50 is worth more than a 4th round pick.
There you go. I would definitely say $50 is worth more than a 4th.
Yeah,
absolutely.
But anyway, so your wide receiver 3 is up in the air. I feel like it's so tough. Like week 1, I guess you just start John Brown by default and go from there and play your matchups. But again, an injury or two, and again, but at least I'll say this: I think some teams aren't aware of their position. I'm happy you're aware that you could go either end. Like I think maybe some people, again, our opinion.
You think you guys were the only ones shitting on your team? You don't think I was? Of course I was.
Right. Well, but I'm saying I think maybe some teams, think they're better, think they're like all around. Like our opinions are essentially irrelevant. You have, everyone makes their own decisions. It's good to see that. Okay, my team might suck. My team, it's at least I'm glad there's that awareness of okay, this could go downhill. What do I do? But shit, if it goes well, what do I do? I'm happy. I'm happy to see that you're not in. Some people get in denial, man.
But go back to something you were saying for a second. I don't know if John Brown would be one of my starters. Week 1.
Who would you make your wide receiver 3 week 1?
I think it was Deshaun Jackson.
Deshaun Jackson.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, duh.
And then I would say
Brashad
Perriman too.
I would say that it's. I mean, based on last year's stats, it's like, obviously the situation's different, but it's like John Brown would be if Diggs isn't there. John Brown's a tough start.
Well, no, if Diggs wasn't there, I would be starting Brown over.
Oh
Brown.
yeah, right. Oh yeah. And I think John Brown might still. I don't think he's going to put numbers last year. I think he'll still do decent numbers.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah,
I think he'll be good at pinch.
It's tough because they're just a team that likes to run. So
yeah,
how much
right. Yeah.
are they going to get?
Yeah.
I mean,
so
on a week to week basis, yes. Every week, one random week, he'll probably blow up, I'm sure. But as a consistency standpoint, it's so hard to have that guiding lineup until we see what's going on,
Yeah.
All right, let's go. Let's move on to your tight ends. So Will Dissly, Eric Ebron, Zach Ertz, Dalton Keene, Tyler Kroft, Thaddeus Moss, and Kyle Rudolph. So obviously like Zach Ertz is still your top, definite top 5 still. I mean, he kind of regresses. I mean, I think the potential for top 5 is still there, but Dallas Goedert also affects that conversation.
Well, it's Philly. They're cursed at wide receiver, so the potential for top 5 for Zach Ertz is always there.
Yeah.
Right.
And I actually traded for him last year.
Yeah.
Phil's
mad. He thought he could have got more for that deal. He's like mad that when it was all said and done, he didn't get DK Metcalf back instead of Tyler Boyd or something like that. It wasn't like an exact thing, but I know he mentioned he wished he tried to get DK Metcalf in a deal instead.
Yeah, that wasn't going to happen.
Right, exactly. Yeah. I think Metcalf gets undervalued. Good, not just selling him for anything. I think Eric Ebron was a good go-to, but I don't know about in Pittsburgh. I mean, who else is there?
Chris
Like, I don't
McDonald.
think. But I don't. I mean, I think Ebron's better, but
Might as well be
yeah.
tight end Chase Claypool.
Yeah,
Yeah.
actually,
but
though.
I think Will Dissly was in a good spot, but once Jacob Abercrombie or whatever, Abercrombie and Fit, whatever his name, I think once he kind of came in, I think that kind of
Once Greg Olson's there.
Greg Olson.
Greg Olson's
I
the
know.
starter,
too,
so-
right? Even
Did-
without Olsen, though, I still think you weren't. It's not like it wasn't like, oh shit, Will.
It's just another major injury. We don't know.
I-
how he's gonna recover from it.
Yeah, I had high hopes for Will Disley, and now
Yeah.
I don't like.
I think. I mean, Thaddeus Moss, undrafted free agent. I don't really. I think obviously you just grabbed him because who the fuck knows?
That's a dark throw. That's a dark throw.
Exactly. Exactly. He was a blind bit guy, but I mean, obviously Zach Ertz is your tight end one. I like Kyle Rudolph, especially in the schemes that Minnesota. But I like him, but you also never know. Him and Irv Smith could almost cancel each other out for fantasy production because it could be so unpredictable if they
I
run
feel like
both of them,
I feel like Kyle Rudolph catches touchdowns and
that's it. His games are 2 catches, 12 yards, 2 touchdowns.
Yes.
exactly,
Yeah.
Red zone.
which
range.
is still a great.
Right. You'll take it. That's 15 points. So why not?
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, obviously Zach Ertz is your tight end one until further notice. But after that, it gets a little. It falls
Murky.
off a bit.
You also have what 7 tight ends on your team? If
Yeah.
you listen to Phil, tight ends are like eyes. You only need 2.
And so they're the same bye week.
Well, we didn't know there was an asterisk on this saying.
Yeah. Well, Tyler Croft, I was like, oh, Buffalo might actually have a tight end. I was wrong.
Yeah.
They never have a tight end.
No.
And
Also Knox, I guess.
Barely.
I say that like
right.
whatever.
Right. And Dalton Kane, he
Keen?
was
Keen?
Keen Kane. I don't know. I've seen it pronounced both ways. Not him, but like other people with that spelling. That was my only other draft pick because I traded all my other ones.
Yeah.
Was kind of he's going to Gronkless New England.
Might as well swing for the fences.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
There's always,
of course.
There is and looking at what was still available in the 4th round.
And I at that point, right? I think you addressed your well. I mean, there really wasn't a quarterback worth taking, but you addressed your weakest position with that other draft pick. So yeah, it's fine. I mean, how do you think you feel with your raw? I mean, I've said all along. I think your starting lineup is great, but it really falls off after that. A couple depth guys, but I think if anything is gonna do you in, it's gonna be just if you have bye week, if you're in ever bye week hell or injuries. I don't think there's enough depth to survive it.
Right. I mean, I've looked through some of my bye weeks. I don't think it's that drastic. I don't think I have to worry about it too much. Injuries, yeah, you're right, especially with backs and my tight ends, especially.
If Kyler Murray ever got a serious injury at all this year, it's like pack it up and
Well,
see
Just
you
move
next
on
year.
At that point.
Let me ask you guys something. Say we get to October, I'm in the shitter. Do you see value in my roster?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
There's
Someone. Yeah.
Yeah, there's
There's a
tons
ton.
of guys you can get stuff if you decide to blow your team up for sure. There's so many
I
guys.
think-
That's
think
another
honestly-
thing.
I think with your roster, I think Murray, Saquon, and Metcalf are the only are the untouchables. I think everyone else is up for if your team is bad. I think those are the guys.
I don't think you trade Tua either.
Oh yeah, Tua. Sorry.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah, Tua. But I mean, yeah, that was implied. But those 4. I think all the 23 other guys on your roster are it's open season. I think.
Yeah,
if you're
but
bad.
guys like Derrick Henry, Julio Jones, and Zach Ertz, you can get a lot for those 3 guys.
Especially
Yeah.
midseason if you're
And
bad.
I thought about that when I was making some of these decisions.
Mhm.
Like, I know it's not the best way to go about it.
Yeah, but
At
it's
least
you.
it's
Listen,
still possibly an option.
if there's one thing that I'm especially realizing with Dynasty, it's that like I've said this, it's that you can't just like I know a lot of times, especially if you're in redraft mode, like if you suck, whatever, you just let your team sit there, you start
You
fresh.
can't
But like no, like you have
That's why Alex has Ben Roethlisberger.
right. But even whatever. But that was like such an early like mistake. I think people. That's a mistake you made, but I think everyone's had their faults and trying to get you. I think the only guys who had the advantage were honestly Alex and Lucho because you had already been in a dynasty league prior, and I think
For
you
one
only
year.
got right, but still though, but that's
It's a
still
year
some
more than the rest of
experience
us.
and right, and I think that's
And
still
none of us
some
were in
experience
Superflex
in seeing.
unless Lucha.
Right, so it's like a whole new thing. Like clearly, people undervalued a lot of stuff. Everyone made their mistakes, and everyone will get used to it. But I think even like for a better team, like you have to look at. All right, well, this guy's good now, but is his value like you're constantly thinking, like you're constantly like, is the value here? If I wait, does it fall off? That's why even the trades we discussed, it's always well, if they hold them and they wait, will the value just drop? Is this the best they could do? Like that's always running through your mind. So, and that's why like it's never just a sit. So yeah, your roster has a ton of value if you're in the shitter in October.
Right.
I wish you were in the shitter in October last year, but what are you gonna do?
Instead, I got the first seed. No one gives a shit about.
Anyway, go ahead. What were you gonna?
Where am I ranked?
Oh, on Fantasy Pros.
Yeah,
Oh,
I've been curious about that one.
Fantasy Pros has you ranked 9th for 2020. They like your running backs, like we said a lot. You're number 1. You're number 3 at tight end.
Mm-hmm.
Quarterback, you're 5.
That's shocking.
Wide receiver, you're 5. The only thing they hate is that you don't have anyone that they like for your flex. So and super flex. It's both it's the combination of super flex and flex they don't like. So that you're last. So that must bring down your team a lot. But when you go by your score, like out of 100, you have a 77. You're ranked 9th. The team that's in a 6 has an 84. It's not like you're that far away from that.
Right.
Whereas like Anthony is down at the bottom with 63.
Right. All right.
For Dynasty, you are also ranked 9th.
Yeah, okay.
They like your flex better for Dynasty, probably because you have Tua in there, so they like the it's your wide receivers for Dynasty they don't like.
Yeah, makes sense.
Yeah, because you have a lot of guys, Deshaun Jackson, Julio Jones.
Yeah, but it's like you said, if you're like I said, I love your starting lineup. It's just any injury kills it. But again, I'll say like I think compared to last year, I think you regress just because you finished first. It's tough to say, oh, you'll be the 1 seed again. Obviously, you never know. But I think last year was I think honestly, like I think you lucked into Brissett. Like I think you lucked into that super flex.
Yeah.
I think it was breaks like that went your way, and I think I don't know if that happens again this year. Like I said, like if Hoyer somehow wins a starting job and does well,
Mike,
for a super
this
flex,
happens like the majority of the time for Skylar. Where everything does go your way with their starting lineup.
Right. That's how.
At least regular season success,
Right. Yeah.
Well, even in the other league, I like, except for maybe twice, I always make the championship. Not the champion. I made the championship game 3 times.
Semifinals.
I think I missed the playoffs like twice.
Right. Yeah. So it's again, I think the potential's there, but ultimately, like I think you're in that like 6, 7 like range, like tier. I should say. I don't even want to say like I say like that tier, like the fringe, like
the Dennis, the Nick. Even though, like I said, I think Dennis is now a tier up, but.
Yeah, it's one of those. Like if all goes well, you're a playoff team, not necessarily a high seed. I don't think you get a bye week again, but I think like if all goes well, you're a fringe playoff team. But
I personally think I'll end up if someone gets injured. I think I'm a 6th or 5th seed.
All right, and again, you clearly know your team's value if it doesn't go well, and that there's trades to be made if it all goes south. Right. So that was all right. That was Skylar's roster.
Oh yeah, we have another.
I got to shit on my own team.
I was like, oh wow, I was like, okay, this has been a long podcast, but it really hasn't been that long. Totally forgot this is another team.
Yeah, no, I just looked at the clock. It's like, oh, it's almost been 2 hours.
We can blast through my team.
Yeah. So now we'll break down Lucho's team. The guy who, if now championship week, Lucho had the most points, but unfortunately, it was in the third place game. Thankfully,
because he lost by 1 point
yep.
in the semifinal
Again.
to me. Sorry,
Michael
Luke.
Thomas ran too many 7-yard slants.
He
Yep.
broke the record
One
that
too
week,
many.
wasn't it? Wasn't
I
that
guess
the record
yeah,
breaking week?
before,
Yeah.
before. I mean, getting into your roster because like that's kind of like a point where you had Skylar as the number 1 seed, but I forget what did you finish in scoring? It definitely wasn't 1. Like I think it was like it was like one of those where it was way lower and like I know there's nothing you can do about championship week and stuff like that, but like just a quick point, like I've seen other league formats where it's based on scoring, but like you every week you're playing 11 matchups and it's like if you're the top scorer you're technically 11-0 and then like second you're 10-1 and so on. I don't want to consider that for this league because I feel like for every week where you're like the second highest scoring team but you still lost, you have weeks where you scored 90 and win.
Yeah.
But
So
is that ever a thing where like
me and Lucho, our other dynasty league, was that way where you'd have 2 matchups. You'd have your head-to-head opponent, and then you would go against everyone else, and the top 6 teams got to win.
You would
as
go
well.
against the league average for the
So
week.
honestly, I like that format, but not for this particular league because we're all friends and we're all, it's like the little competitiveness that you get by playing matchups.
Yeah.
Whereas the one that me and Lucho were in, well, the one that me and Lucho are in, well, no, I mean with Kyle it's competitiveness, man. But the one that me and Lucho were in, we didn't know anyone in it. It was just through a third-party site.
Yeah.
So to add that little bit of taking luck out of it, it's nice.
Yeah.
I didn't.
Well,
like
I
it
don't know. I was gonna say like I get the argument of like, man, what the fuck, I scored 150 and I still lost, but it's like I feel like most of the time it breaks even. Like you have your weeks
Skylar,
where
you're
awful.
You were 4th in the league in scoring last year, by the way.
And I was 4th in the league, period.
Behind Mike, Tom, and me.
Right,
yeah,
and that was the
Lucho,
other thing, like-
yours was the team that we were like, what the hell, man? How is he doing so well? Because you didn't get much scoring. But then second half of the year,
It
your
turned
team,
on.
like,
Miles Sanders started. Joe Mixon remembered how to run.
Right.
I mean, Zach Taylor realized that he's a head
Zach
coach
Taylor
and
got his head out of his ass.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then Joe Mixon had poopy pants in fantasy championship week, and he didn't do anything.
Wasn't there like actually? Yeah, he was like really hungover one game.
They said that week 16 game was like food poisoning or something,
Yeah.
like stomach
probably
bug or
hungover.
something. Right. Yeah. But I just thought it was funny.
And then week
like,
17, at the end of when the season ended, the last play, he threw his helmet at a ref by accident.
Wah, wah.
Wah, wah, wah.
Whoops.
but it's but I don't know. I just thought I'd bring it up. Like, is that something like I hope it's something we don't consider just because like the whole break even of like you can lose scoring 150 but you can win scoring 90 type shit that I feel like it always breaks even.
As the commissioner of the league, and really I'm the one that throws stuff out for people to vote on. I'm sure you guys could all vote on something without me throwing it out there, sure. And if 11 of you all say yes, I'm going to implement it, even if I was to say
Right.
no. But I'm not considering that at all. I like
Yeah.
that
All right.
that part of how I
I
live.
just
Your-
figured I'd
your
bring it up
reasoning,
just because
yeah.
of, yeah.
Yeah,
It's just-
we all know each other, and it's
Yeah,
awesome to win
exactly.
the week. Like, okay, sure, Mike, if I'm calling you my rival, like we all have like these mini rivalries. If
Yeah.
I
No,
call
no,
you my
no. I
rival,
claimed Mike.
well, no,
claimed Mike.
this is
Because
just an
yeah.
example, sure. But
Yeah.
if Mike, if you're my rival, and I beat you one week, but then for some reason, like I'll get the 2 wins if I was in the top 5, but then you got to win anyway. I'll be like, haha, I beat you, but you'll be like, yeah, it doesn't matter though. I still got to win.
Mhm.
Right.
Kind of takes
Yeah.
away,
It would just it would just take away. Yeah. I
takes
think
away the
like,
bragging rates that you have,
right. Because like
And then
that,
plus-
but that's how
Plus, the thing is, when you get into the playoffs, then it goes back to head-to-head. So it's like, why do
exactly
we do this
that
in the regular season?
it's
Just
right.
to change it
It's
to just
it's
as much luck?
irrelevant. Right.
Like, there's
it's
so much luck
irrelevant.
in the playoffs, so let's just keep the luck in the regular season.
Right. Right, that's where and listen, don't say there's not any kind of rivalry there. I mean, this is 2 straight seasons, different leagues where I've beat Alex for a title. So
Actually,
it's
just
bound
let
the,
Luke
the,
Joe
lu-
beat
the
me.
luck's the luck's bound to change.
This is like 8 seasons in a row where you've beat me out of getting far in the championship.
But to be fair, I sucked at that keeper league in the first like 5 years.
Yeah, you did.
I can't think of you with that keeper league, Mike, without remembering how badly I wanted Jordan Matthews from you for like 3 years.
Oh man, yeah.
I had one bad. Dude, you know how bad I wanted? Why can't I think of his name now? But the guy that went to
Monty Ball.
Yes, Monty Ball. I wanted
Yeah,
him so bad, and
I
Nick
kept-
Gaines
God.
Oh my
Monty
god,
Ball.
I kept that fucking idiot and like
We
And
all
Nick
have
Gaines
our
and
guys.
Adam.
Wait. What happened with him? He did something really screwed up, right?
I thought he just
I don't
sucked.
remember.
I thought he was just
Yeah,
terrible.
he sucked, and that's fucked up.
No, but I thought he also like off the field did some like.
I don't
I
remember.
don't know, man. Dude, that keeper league, I thought I had a dynasty going with Latavius Murray and Jordan Matthews. I thought I'm like, man, I'm set at running back 1 and wide receiver 1. I'm good, guys.
I kept David Johnson in the 13th round when he was like in his prime, and it didn't ever get me a win. But me keeping DeMarco Murray in the 2nd round is what got me. Like it's so funny how that.
Whatever. That's why you texted me about if we ever want to make that keeper league a redraft, and I said, we have to keep it a keeper league this year because I'm keeping Lamar Jackson, George Kittle, and Terry McLaurin. So we have to have it keeper be one more season.
But yeah, Luch, well, and Skylar too. But me and Mike were texting and we're saying, well, if we change it into a redraft, should do like 16 or 18 teams just to get make it tougher, you know. And we all know all these guys in this dynasty league. We all know these like lower tier players now, so
right.
I don't know. That'd be interesting to have that. And there's more people that would do a redraft. We have a lot of people that would love to just do a redraft league.
I think last year people still want a keeper, but I think now it's like.
Yeah. Well, everyone that moved over to Dynasty and got a taste of Dynasty, they like it.
I mean,
there were people like me and Lucho who knew we wanted to be over to Dynasty. So.
Yeah.
But,
I mean, I brought it up a few years ago and kind of just got weird looks.
I remember it coming up, but it was like at that time, no one has been in a Dynasty league, and we thought it was going to be a lot of work just because of how much work the keeper league was. But once I started playing in this one Dynasty league, I started looking up and doing research, and I saw from other people how easy it was to run it on MFL. Sure, the user interface is garbage, but it's actually the most amazing site of all.
But you can't, you can't have like all the little quirks and like draft stuff, and you don't have that anywhere else.
Every option you could possibly want is on here. Everything runs so smoothly without me having to do anything.
Yeah.
And if I knew HTML, like old MySpace days, and I could customize all the stuff, just like how Joey did with his team name. If you look in the app, it doesn't show up. It shows up as him saying color pink, whatever. But in the website, it actually is. It
is pink. Yeah.
Yes.
That's hilarious. All right.
I was
So
wondering
let's
why it was pink.
all right. Let's break down Lucho's roster. So your quarterbacks. I mean, I'll list them. Andy Dalton, Jeff Driscoll, Case Keenum, Cam Newton, Phillip Rivers, and Carson Wentz. You have 2 starters in there. So
I went into the startup draft. I hadn't really shifted over to like a superflex mindset. So when we mentioned last week how in redraft you can just like draft whoever, pick
Yeah, if you don't get like Mahomes or Jackson or something, you might as well just wait until.
That's what I did. I got Dalton and Rivers, and I was like, this is fine. And unfortunately, I was the dog saying this is fine in the.
I was about to say that. I have a question.
Go ahead.
How the hell's Cam Newton not on a team?
Pandemic. Literally
the
year I trade for him, a once-in-a-lifetime thing happens that stops him from going on a team.
There are much worse quarterbacks that were still able to get signed that are injured.
Joe Flacco.
Yeah, because they're not looking for the same amount of money. Because they're not
The only reason Jameis Winston got signed is because that was like a $1 million something like stupid.
1 year, $3 million. Same with Dalton. 1 year, $3 million.
But Jameis Winston also admitted that I'm sitting behind Drew Brees for a year. I get to learn from Drew Brees for a year. I might have a chance to take over for Drew Brees.
And Andy Dalton also admitted that he was going to be struggling to find a job, and it was just easy because during a pandemic he already owned a home in the Dallas area for him to just take this job.
Oh shit.
So
that's they just so happen to wonder, is Dak going to hold out? We need somebody that's not what Cooper Rush.
I might have mentioned this on an episode. I don't remember if it's the episode or if I was just me talking to somebody. But not only was it the pandemic with Cam, but I also think teams don't want to sign him as a backup and then watch him mope when he's not starting the game and they're not doing well.
Yeah,
because that's how he is. He's an ultra competitive player, man. So if they're not doing well, he's obviously going to think, why am I not in here? Because I could do better.
Because I could do this, yeah.
But I think it's much more likely that as soon as there's an opening, as soon as someone gets injured, he's getting signed immediately.
Right, I agree.
Jacksonville.
I think just looking at your roster, I think especially because I think your team does have obviously the chance to be super competitive and a title contender. it's good that you have at least two. Because like this time last year, this roster is 5 starting quarterbacks. I mean, was Case Keenum starting at the beginning of last year?
Yeah,
right?
he was.
Yes.
Right. So this was 5 starting quarterbacks this time last season, and now at least there's still 2. And honestly, I don't think Jalen Hurts is like this immediate threat to Carson Wentz's job. The contract is 2 there, but Wentz injury history.
Not all right.
That's next year.
I'll only say that like if Wentz gets hurt and Hurts plays well, is there even a chance that Doug Peterson's like, look, man, you're healthy, but sorry.
It'll all depend on. I don't think there's a chance that he would completely take over the job and Wentz will turn into like a Nick Foles where he's getting paid a shit ton of money and just sitting on the bench.
Because
I don't think Jalen Hurts will have the same type of fan fanatics that Minshew was able to bring out of the woodwork for a team like that, especially Philly, who already has, as much as I hate to say it, really diehard fans. I don't see that happening. But if there was a possibility that Wentz could get cut when this happens, then I could see it happening. So maybe in 2022. I mean, if it happens in 2021.
Is it 22 or 23?
So they can cut him in 22. It would still be 24.5 million of dead cap, but they would still be saving about 7 million.
Yeah.
So if he's just going to sit on the bench, can they get a backup that's for less than 7 million?
Can they trade him to a team that wants to?
Trading is more likely, and then 2023 they'd be saving 21 million. They'd still have 15 mil dead cap, but his cap hit in 2023 is 36 million. So
I think if anything happens to him, it's not going to be just Hurts or just Sudfeld. I think it's going to be. It is actually going to be kind of like Taysom Hill, where they put
this year. I think
they keep switching them out for different packages.
I can see that, yep.
With like Sudfeld is going to be on certain packages and stuff.
I mean, I thought that was Hurts, like not ceiling, but like I figured, they took him now.
Most likely path.
I compared him to Pat White. It's a shitty example because Pat White was a terrible NFL player, but they want him to be. I think Jalen Hurts
could be actually a very good quarterback with enough time to groom him.
I don't know. I just see more gadget player like going into the NFL. Like again,
if an NFL team thinks that he's a 2nd-round pick, I think you can't be spending a 2nd-round pick on a gadget player.
No, I know.
But you gotta just once there's that draft capital there, it's like you just gotta.
I know
what NFL teams are thinking. And they're the ones.
I'll say a counterpoint to that: Tavon Austin, 1st-round draft capital, and he maxed out as a gadget player.
Yes, but
and somehow kept getting paid.
That's true.
Jerry Jones.
True.
So that dude is.
There was also a lot of just players that back in those years that were getting drafted like that.
That was a weird, like stretch of time.
Was that lockout year?
Percy Harvin, Cordell Patterson,
maybe 2011.
I think so. That was when all those stupid quarterbacks went like Christian Ponder and Blaine Gabbert.
Hey, Phil has a Christian Ponder jersey, courtesy of me and Lucho.
Oh my god! And we never let him forget it.
Wasn't that like Cam Newton and then just a bunch of scrubs like Jake Locker?
I think was Locker the same year as
Locker was the same year as Cam. Yeah, I think.
Yeah.
Christian Ponder. Meanwhile, I feel like were Nick Foles and Colin Kaepernick that year?
2011.
I think Kaepernick was later.
Earlier.
Kaepernick was 12. I thought because that's when they Falcons in the playoffs. Wasn't he a rookie?
Was he a rookie? I thought he was 2nd, and then 3rd year he went to the Super Bowl.
I thought that was as a rookie. I don't know.
I just remember that year there was like 12 quarterbacks in the first 2 rounds, and like 2 of them amounted to one.
He got drafted
because I remember
same year as Cam, 2011.
Mm-hmm.
Kaepernick was a early second round pick.
If only there was some kind of interconnected web where we could search these answers.
Yes.
I like just.
I'm the only one that has this access, so that's why.
All right,
why do you get to hold the key to the internet tonight?
And every podcast.
Mom said it's my turn to play the internet.
So how do you?
All right,
feel
here you go.
How do you feel about your quarterbacks?
Key to the internet.
As you can see by somebody trying to trade for Deshaun Watson, I feel great about him.
And Lamar Jackson. I've heard about your
Lamar Jackson. Well, that's more because, like we mentioned not what we mentioned. I read an article that actually pointed out if you want to have fun with a league, actually like have fun with it and like go get guys that you like and stuff.
Oh,
and I was like,
100%.
I should do that. And then I was like, who am I gonna get? Oh, of course, my large son.
Like, sure, we all want to win. Sure, we want to get money. We want to have the bragging rights. We want to have the trophy. But like, honestly, if you're losing and you're not having fun, then it's just like,
And it's like,
Yeah.
what's the point? Why not get players?
I
who
think-
like
I
I
think,
have that.
Like
man.
I think you said, because we're all friends and stuff. Like there's no chance anymore. Like I could go join some random fantasy football. Like I there's no chance.
It's
I
hard.
go on-
It's hard.
No,
Me and
it's-
Lucho just
yeah.
weren't really that
Like,
interested.
We couldn't
There's no
stay
way, like-
invested. The
Yeah,
novelty.
Some of you
go,
guys,
like,
I've been doing
yeah.
fantasy for like
Yeah.
a decade now.
Right. Yeah. And I feel like if these two leagues like ever folded, I just would quit fantasy football because there's no way I could
Probably.
just go on Reddit, join a league, and have as much like,
Yeah,
No.
interest.
It won't. A league will never fold as long as its commissioner doesn't want it to fold, because they can always find other
Right.
people.
Yeah.
Right.
And
of course.
Looking
Yeah.
at you, Alex.
hopefully, I don't want it to fold. So.
No, hope not.
The novelty of the league that we joined, because like you said, it was our first dynasty league. The novelty wore off so fast.
Yeah, it did.
It
The
didn't
startup
hold
draft was
us.
fun.
Yeah.
The startup draft was fun until halfway through it, when our third round pick, Jerick McKinnon, tore his ACL,
That sucked.
and there goes the novelty.
Mm-mm.
Yep.
Then we were
And then
like,
teams-
oh well, we got to
Teams
retool.
immediately drafting who was it that was behind him at the time?
I don't remember.
Matt Breida, Tevin Coleman,
No, Tevin Coleman wasn't there yet. Tevin Coleman's in Atlanta because we had Tevin Coleman.
Yeah.
Raheem Mostert.
No, Raheem Mostert wasn't there. I don't remember. There was somebody there though that
Carlos Hyde, Frank.
Hyde.
Like
no. After those guys,
I think I know who it is.
it was late 2018. Who the fuck was on that team?
Did anybody care? Outside
No,
of
nobody
us?
cares. Nobody cares. So, all right, look, Lucho, your quarterbacks, obviously not great,
Wait,
but
quick question.
go ahead.
Jerick McKinnon.
He's on the 49ers.
He's
He's
still there.
Still
They
on the 49ers?
They've restructured.
They
him, too. That's why
restructured,
they
yeah.
traded.
Has
Raida.
he played it? Has he played a snap?
Alfred Morris was the guy.
Alfred
Oh.
Morris. Yeah.
Yeah,
The
someone
one-year
immediately
wonder.
drafting Alfred Morris and then trying to trade them to our team. Like, oh, McKinnon just got hurt. You should give me this amazing draft pick for Alfred Morris. I'm like, I'm not trading for Alfred Morris.
Kyle Shanahan was already there, right? So you knew what the running
Yeah.
back
Yeah.
situation was going to be.
Well, I mean, but we didn't know it was going to be like this because we saw Shanahan just in Atlanta, where Devonta Freeman was the running back one and Tevin Coleman was a viable starter. So it's
Yeah.
like
That was like 1A, 1B over there.
it's
Yeah.
Which
it's
is
so
like-
annoying too because he got hurt 2 picks before our pick. So yeah, we missed out on that. But I think we drafted the other guy, whoever the other guy was, Luch. This is also a good question. Who was the other guy that they had at the time?
If it's not the 5 fucking guys we just named, then like, who?
Yeah.
Then, like who?
It might have been Matt Breida that we drafted.
It's
That's
very
why.
possible.
I mean,
Yeah, I think it
yeah, it
was.
had to be. But I think, yeah, I mean, you have Carson Wentz and Phillip Rivers. It's passable, like especially if
Yeah.
they both play to their full potential. Like it's good enough. But again, like you
want
you're gonna
Cam to
hit-
sign.
I really,
Right.
yeah. I
Yeah,
mean, I'm not
that's your-
super. If I have to go into this year with Wentz and Rivers, I'm not
That's
super
fine,
worried
yeah.
because like Rivers in a
Yeah.
down year was the QB 15 in total points, and I
Yeah.
really think Wentz could definitely.
Despite
bounce
everyone
back.
shitting on him, yeah.
Yeah. Like,
I mean,
I'm not
I
super
personally
worried
want
about
Rivers to
that.
go down, but
yeah.
When we saw how terrible he was, but their offensive line was awful.
Horrendous.
Now he's on the Colts, who have arguably the best offensive line in the league.
Best.
Yeah.
So much time to throw the ball, which is as a guy like him he needs. So I could see.
And I think they have just as many weapons in Indy as
Yeah,
San Diego
I was just gonna
or
say
LA
they're like
does.
sort of comparable. LA has better weapons overall, but
Yeah.
it's closer than it looks.
Indy doesn't have a Keenan Allen. that's really
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Right, but
Hill's
again,
still there.
there's guys. So
What's up?
You could see Paris
Oh,
Campbell
Hilton
step up.
Yeah, he's still there, but he was hurt
Yeah.
on and off
He was
last
hurt
year.
all year almost. Yeah.
Yeah.
well, Phillip Rivers is why I do like Jack Doyle a lot going into this year because I think like obviously Eric Ebron leaving, I think it opens the door, and Phillip Rivers clearly loved whatever tight end he had while he was there, whether it was Antonio Gates forever or Hunter Henry
Lucho,
the last couple of years.
Rivers was the on a points per game basis the QB 27.
That's almost a QB too.
Almost.
Like I said, take Jeff Driscoll out.
26.
26.
But he just had a weird streak there. He still had games where he had 25 points, 20 points, 20 points, 21.
There were just some
26,
meltdown weeks.
and that was in the playoffs where he
But-
had 26.
But
There were
again,
meltdowns,
I think for your quarterbacks, it's just a matter. I mean, I don't want to say bad luck. I think you could have like last year you knew Dalton was going to move on and not be a starter, but
I thought
like for
there was
Cam
a
to-
chance, but I wasn't counting on it.
I think for someone like Cam, or I think if Cam was not even still in Carolina, but the fact that like not one team has been like, yeah, he can start, like. And I get it, like the bad teams, you're not going to pay a lot of money to Cam Newton to start, because you want
To win you meaningless games, yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly, like you're not
Unless
going
you're
to
a
pay
team
all
that
that
needs
money.
fans, then like that's
Right, but
Jacksonville.
is Cam
Yeah, but
Newton
they
selling
drafted
tickets?
guys.
Yeah.
Is
he
Cam
would
Newton
have
selling
if he went to the
tickets?
Chargers. Yeah,
Like,
I think Cam Newton's selling tickets.
Absolutely.
I still,
yes. Yeah,
I
big
still
market.
I think Cam goes to Jacksonville.
I just can't see it. I can't
I
see
don't see it.
There are two
Yeah.
people that they are going to try to sign. They're going to try to sign Cam Newton, and they're going to try to sign Hangman Adam Page.
Got him. I understood that reference.
Thank you. All right, moving on.
Is that a rock and roll reference?
No.
I don't listen. I don't listen.
No,
to rock and
Lucho,
roll.
you know the game Hangman? Like
Oh,
No.
word.
right.
Adam Page is the 8 letters.
I'd like to
and-
buy an eye.
Wrestling. All right, let's
Hey,
Moving
did
go.
you see him run down the field that fucking quickly during the
He did, man. Listen, I did.
That dude could be a linebacker.
I am getting the wrestling references. I love it.
Okay, let's move on.
All right, so
I
to
got
your
that
running
out of my
backs.
system.
Yeah, so you have to.
Yeah.
All right, so the running backs. It's a good thing you have two good ones here. So Malcolm Brown, Myles Gaskin. Ooh, I must fuck up that one. My first one of the day. Damian Harris, David Montgomery, Miles Sanders,
Mark.
and Devin Singletary.
Talking.
So
Those last three, basically.
so the ceiling
And
is.
Damian Harris, maybe.
So I think there's. You never know, but I think the ceiling. I think Malcolm Brown takes the obvious hit with Akers getting drafted, even though I think maybe Henderson would have been but I think it would have been irrelevant if they didn't take Akers. I think it's a committee if they had just those two. But I think obviously Sanders and Singletary. Sanders more so because I think Zach Moss is going to eat into Devin Singletary a bit. But I think Miles Sanders is your running back
Miles
one.
Sanders is your clear running back 1. I think David Montgomery is your clear running back 2.
I agree.
Even in that,
I think there's an argument for Singletary.
There's an
I
argument.
think so too.
Yeah, but I don't think.
I think Montgomery gets more work in Chicago. How good of work it is, I don't know.
Can't be worse than what he got.
If it's Nick Foles, it's got to be better.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
That's
if Matt
true.
Nagy stops being a moron, like they ran the ball
Very
something like
low chance.
42% of the time, and usually with the Matt Nagy system when it's working, it's closer to 50%. So
Yeah.
and he's
Those,
come out multiple
those-
times saying how he needs to run the ball more. He even said, "I'm not an idiot. I know I need to run the ball more." So
Well, you
Yeah, but
also have
those-
to take
those,
into consideration Tariq Cohen.
yeah, sure.
But I think those Chicago coaches, like everyone thought, oh, okay, John Fox is gone. This will get better. Oh boy, it didn't. I think is how that's gone. Like
I'm
say
worried.
whatever.
Personally, I'm worried about Devin Singletary with Zach Moss.
I'm not
I'm
worried
worried a
about
lot.
Zach Moss, honestly.
I think it's closer to the beginning of last year when Frank Gore was doing well and Singletary was like there, kind of doing okay, but nothing special. Not like the second half of the year when he took
Trust
over.
me.
Frank Gore got tired out and kind of died out. Now I think
Well,
it's more like you got a young guy like Zach Moss who can do all the same stuff as Frank Gore. It's going to be closer to that first half of the year, Singletary.
Well, the keeper league, I had Singletary and Montgomery as well, and trust me, I felt the growing pains there in the first half.
Yeah.
I
think I don't think Boston Scott. Like I think Boston Scott was good at times when he had to be, but he's it's clearly shown that Sanders is far and away the number one.
Well,
so
for
I
sure.
think-
Yeah, there's no
yeah.
Boston Scott in my mind is the new age Darren Sproles,
yeah, and you
Which,
also
yeah, actually.
consider that
which is an awesome role to be honest. But
consider. I mean, you had Joe Mixon last year. What was it? Was that in the Cam trade?
yeah, I traded Montgomery and Cam for Mixon. There might have been a pick or something involved
It was
in there.
probably,
I don't
yeah,
remember.
I think it
Okay.
was like a third.
It was a third or something. Yeah.
All right, but this isn't overall. This isn't great. I mean, this is probably your. I mean, it's bigger. I'd say bigger weakness than quarterback. I think quarterback you have at least some options there, especially if Cam signs. But running back, I mean, I think like you said, Damien Harris could break out, but I just think with like I don't see him overtaking like Sony Michel or even like a James White spot unless there's injuries.
Yeah, he's
And
more.
then-
We just like we thought last year he was going to take the Rex Burkhead role, but Burkhead just is
Even
still
then,
there. Or something.
yeah.
I just think New
How
England
is
running
he still there?
He's good.
like New England
Because
running backs are
Belichick likes
just,
white people.
Oh, that too.
This is true. Like New England's just tough though, especially with running backs. Like you never know who it's going to be one week. Like I feel like James White's the only constant because he's such a good PPR guy. I think everyone else, even Sony Michel, like you call him the running back one, but like he still is so inconsistent. Like I just don't trust the New England backs. Like I can't rely on them. I haven't for years at this point. I can't remember the last guy that's been like a clear cut. Like, yeah, this guy's going to get the workload. Like Corey Dillon, but even then it was questionable. Like, but like you're still
that
going
one
back
year
how
of
much-
LeGarrette Blunt because he had
That's,
18
yeah,
touchdowns.
that's what I
Right.
always think about. I always
Yeah.
harken back to.
But I
29
feel like
touchdowns.
It
he had
happened
all
for
the
Sony Michel. It
touchdowns,
happened.
but
Okay.
what did he do yards wise that year?
LeGarrette Blunt.
It wasn't
Yeah.
anything crazy.
It was like 2 yards
Yeah.
per carry. Something.
Yeah.
stupid.
I mean,
but
obviously
that's
the
him.
touchdowns overtake.
That's
that,
what you're
obviously.
counting on. You know?
Yeah.
Same thing
Yeah,
with
for
Sony
sure.
Michel. Yep.
It's more
Well,
me
you'd
just kind of
you'd
thinking out
hope
loud.
they throw to him because he can catch.
He's shown he can. Yeah.
Yeah. So
Yes, but
Well,
that's
like,
why
what
they
are
had
your,
James
like-
White.
But how do you feel with your running backs? I feel like you have two starters, maybe three, but I mean, is there a move to be made? Like, are you confident? Like, what's
Moves could be made, but I think because of the fact that we only have to start 2 running backs and I have at least 3, then one can just spot in as a flex if need be or
right?
step in for
Yeah, I
another
think you're
one
fine.
potentially. That's why once we get to my wideouts and my tight ends, I have
which are your
a lot-
strong spots here, Ross?
I have a
yeah.
lot more
Yeah.
flex strength in those.
Yeah, you'll never
Right.
have to start a third running back.
That's the
No.
plan.
No.
Yeah.
Hopefully not.
Well, yeah,
Right.
hopefully not.
So yeah, I mean, look, we can only we'll move on to wide receivers. Like running backs is what it is.
I just
So,
want to
yeah,
point
you're-
out really quick before we move on, finish my thought on Devin Singletary. However, Zach Moss does, like I liked him as a prospect, but I don't think he's going to take too much work. Singletary has a hard ceiling because Josh Allen is a goal line back.
That's true.
That's just the reality of it.
Yeah, and that ball's on the one. It's Allen diving
It's
over
very
the pile.
much Allen time.
Zach
Yeah.
Moss as a prospect is like a little bit less effective David Montgomery. It's kind of
They
funny.
actually are, yeah. They're similar athletically. They're similar in what
Mhm.
they do well. Good balance, good hands.
Yeah, broken tackles, which
Mhm.
translates over. It just both kind
Right.
of slow.
It all depends on if that comes from like long speed or burst.
Yeah. Well, that's what David Montgomery has burst. It's
He's
just his
good
long
burst.
speed.
His long speed, he could get caught by a fucking offensive lineman
Why would an offensive lineman be chasing him down?
because he stole his money.
Oh, okay.
You
He didn't
haven't
buy
heard
them.
this?
He didn't buy them the gift like how the
Yeah.
quarterback and running backs do.
Why do you think Kyle Long retired? He didn't have any money. Anyway,
Yeah, let's do your receivers, which fucking definite strength. All right. So let's go Brandon Cooks, Gabriel Davis, Mike Evans, Russell Gage, Josh Gordon.
oh,
Wait, hold on
John-
one second. Hold on 1 second. It's not coming through, is it?
I'm getting a
I
little
got
bit.
it.
I can hear it.
Okay. Moving on. Sorry,
Anyway,
you mentioned
Josh
Josh Gordon.
Should he not be
Right.
suspended anymore if they're
No,
relaxing
absolutely.
Yeah,
their lead
that-
Been
stance?
suspended the first fucking time.
Like, just
Yeah.
just throwing it out there. All right, so Josh Gordon, John
Please, after-
Hightower.
After listening to Pat McAfee talk about players smoking, it's just like, what the fuck?
Hey,
Drinking, I get.
they're targeting Josh Gordon.
Mhm.
Oh, yeah,
Trying to make an
absolutely.
Yeah,
example
at this point. Yeah.
out of
Yeah.
him.
No, he'll be back, I think.
Yeah, hopefully. But anyway,
He's
all right,
he's
so, yeah,
past
John.
his
Yeah.
Yeah, he's his
Unfortunately.
best days are behind him.
just a rotation guy now. If you
John Hightower, so Jalen Hurd, Andy Isabella, DJ Moore.
I'm gonna
Michael
stop.
Pittman.
I'm gonna stop you really, really quickly because you're naming all these players, and we're like 10 names through. And besides Josh Gordon, I like every one of these players,
Yeah.
and you still
Yeah.
have a bunch more.
Yeah. Where am
Yeah.
I at? DJ Moore, Michael Pittman, Byron Pringle, Trey
Best
Quinn,
player on my roster.
Emmanuel Sanders, and Robert Woods.
Man's name
Yeah.
is Pringle. That's
have-
amazing. I wish I
you
had
have-
Jake Butt.
The greatest wide receiver
1,
depth I think
2,
I've ever seen
3,
on
4,
any team
5,
ever.
6.
This is how so
Yeah.
many of my my fantasy teams turn out, dude.
Like
I have
you
great
have
wideout
like,
depth,
like
and it never does anything for me.
like you have like 10 wide receivers, whether it's actual production or just like rookies you would bank on that are like that people would that I'll say that people would trade significant value for. Like, I mean, you know,
I
like,
didn't even
like-
realize this till now that you had this many.
Like, I mean,
Yeah.
just starting at the top of the alphabetical list. I mean, Brandon Cooks going to Houston probably helps. I
that
just
helps
think
a decent amount.
I think, like, granted, like he does get hurt, but I think especially going to a team that now doesn't have DeAndre Hopkins,
Mhm.
the targets are up for the taking, and why not Cooks if he's healthy and at his full potential?
I think Cooks'
And I mean-
ceiling is like his time in New England.
the
Mhm.
1,000
stays
yards.
healthy.
It's pretty much
Yeah.
a 1,000-yard season. Yeah.
Yeah,
Low
which
reception
you'll take. Like you'll.
yards.
I'll absolutely take.
Look,
I don't, like
a
I'm
few
saying, I don't
touchdowns.
think
I
he's
think-
anything he's not.
I think there's teams in this league that would kill to have Cooks as like a wide receiver, like 3 or even 2, and he's like your wide receiver 7.
I think he still might be a starter.
I think he's
I
like
have
a
a qu-
4-ish.
A
No, I
4
mean,
for
no,
you. He
but
might
I
be a
mean,
4.
but I'm saying like in terms of your roster, like you could argue that I put these guys ahead of him, whereas
Yeah.
some
there are
teams
arguments where
some teams would kill for him to be in their starting 3.
I have a question. Brandon Cooks, he obviously very talented, multiple 1,000-yard seasons, etc., etc. How does he end up getting traded so much?
Maybe he's an
Injuries.
asshole.
Yeah,
How many
maybe.
times has he been
That's the
traded?
only thing
now?
I could think. It's
Uh,
3
From
times.
was he from the Pats? Where did he
Saints
start?
first.
He started on
New
The
Orleans.
Saints.
Rams.
The
They
Saints.
traded-
Pats, Rams,
They traded New
Texans.
Orleans, New Orleans traded him for a first-round pick from New England.
He's never not been traded for a first.
Then I'm pretty sure New England, yeah, just got
exactly.
yeah. Until
Like,
now,
it-
they didn't get a first one.
He's got to
Yes,
be a
didn't they get a
huge
second?
prick.
Yeah. But yet I never hear anything like that.
Because
Usually
teams know that they can get a first for him until he gets too old for it.
Yeah, if they start
If they don't
talking,
say
that
it.
pick becomes a 7th.
Yeah.
Didn't he get? It was. Correct me if I'm wrong. Didn't they get a second? The Rams for him this time.
I don't think the Rams got a
What was
first.
again.
Hold on.
I wouldn't be shocked if for Bill O'Brien, but
Yeah, right. Hey, we only got a second for Hopkins, but I'll gladly give a first for Cooks.
Oh, it was a second. Yeah.
yeah,
The
the
Rams got a
concussions. That's the
second.
only reason.
Was
That's the
Was it
only
the
reason.
second the Cardinals sent over?
I think it was actually.
Of course it would be.
When you have an opportunity to trade DeAndre Hopkins for Brandon Cooks, you do it. 100%.
No,
Get
that
out, be
wasn't.
safe.
That
And
I got
wasn't.
David
a trade
Johnson.
for you.
David Johnson was the one.
Either way. But
Boy,
like,
did
like
David
obviously,
Johnson fall.
but like Robert Woods is like I guess your arguable wide receiver 3. Like that's incredible.
He's definitely my wide 3. I think Woods is going
I
to
think so,
probably
too.
have his best year of his career.
Yes, Robbie Forrest.
Bobby Trees.
But like I mean, look, DJ Moore, especially last year, he was already good, but he broke out. He's clear wide
Yeah.
receiver 1 material at this point.
I like DJ Moore a lot.
Yeah,
everyone
and then
likes
like
DJ
like
Moore, I would
Mike
say. Sorry.
Mike Evans is still a wide receiver 1, but he's obviously just based on your rankings wide receiver 2. It's for me. I mean, I'll say it's irrelevant for me. You have 3 wide receivers. It's not 1, 2. Like who gives a fuck about rankings if you have 3 starters? But in just your case, Mike Evans being your wide receiver 2 is just something else because people again would kill to have him as wide receiver 1.
Yeah,
I will
But man,
say
I
for
mean, just
DJ
this
Moore,
list is incredible.
Moore and I would maybe say Mark Andrews are the only 2 players that I like because Peanut was trying to trade for him recently, and I told him
DJ
that's
Moore. Everyone would
literally
try to
the only player I won't give away.
Obviously, I would want DJ Moore, and I probably could get him if I traded you Michael Thomas. And that might be it.
You didn't say no.
I'm listening.
I don't want him that bad. But yeah, no, seriously, he's like
He's-
DJ Moore.
He's 22.
Value,
he's a
trade
third-year
value wise,
receiver.
is arguably top 5.
hmm
Trade value
Yeah.
wise, production
Oh,
right
yeah.
now he hasn't done top 5, but
But he's still got all that potential baked in.
he had a breakout last year, and
Yeah.
I see another step in the breakout this year. So, especially with Teddy Bridgewater,
And
the
then-
way that
I mean, and then
Like,
like someone
and,
like
what's his
someone
name,
like
Joe
someone like Russell Gage. Is he Atlanta's wide receiver 3 at this point?
Yes.
nope, no.
I
You're
lied.
forgetting. You were forgetting former first-round pick
Laquan Treadwell. Oh no.
Quan Treadwell.
No, but Russell Gage is the third guy. Yeah. So.
I like.
Because
I
he
like
had
Gage.
because he had that handful of games last year where he was pretty fantasy relevant,
Yeah, but
like late on in the season. It didn't like
He
carry
did
over
something.
anywhere, but right. But I mean, yeah, he's
Like,
still
it'll
behind
take-
obviously Julio.
It'll take
and
injuries
Calvin Ridley.
for anything to
and
happen
probably
with him,
Hayden
but
Hurst.
it's like something going on
That's true,
there.
and targets.
It's just in case.
and behind Todd Gurley now in targets
Yeah.
for sure.
Oh, that's true. And then I mean, you look at like San Francisco's kind of just like a bunch of dudes. It's like Debo Samuel and a pack. So Jalen Hurd could fit in nicely. Like
Another slot
if
guy.
Yeah.
right.
Big slot guy.
Yeah,
He's like
as opposed to
6'4",
Trent Taylor,
220.
who's a little slot guy.
Yeah.
I mean, granted, he's behind a few guys, but I think Arizona likes Andy Isabella. But again, if he's behind Hopkins and Kirk and
They
Fitzgerald for at least this year,
Kingsbury talked up all of his like random wide receivers like Isabella, Hakeem Butler, and Keyshawn Johnson
Yeah.
after trading for Hopkins. So
I was about to say, how many 4 wide receiver sets do they play at?
a lot.
Almost all.
Exactly.
They're
Yeah,
always
a lot.
almost
They have
always
no
in 4
tight
or
end,
5,
so
4 or empty.
Yeah.
They have Charles Clay.
And they
I
have the
think.
great Max Williams.
Oh, Max.
With
Max
two,
with two X's.
Yeah.
two. It's on the birth certificate.
I think. I mean, Emmanuel Sanders is always something. Like I don't know what he'll do in New Orleans. Maybe it's better than what he did in San
Sanders
Francisco.
Well,
is kind of
he
interesting in New Orleans.
He unfollowed Drew Brees, so I don't know if he's gonna do
Oh
anything.
shit!
Well, I mean,
Oh.
I
Well,
guess,
so did Michael Thomas and Kamara.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
Michael
I don't know
Thomas
who followed them back.
deactivated his Twitter account
Okay.
for a
I
little
know-
while.
yeah, right.
yeah. Go ahead. Start Taysom Hill. See how much that production drops.
Yeah, right.
I know that
Mhm.
Michael Thomas followed Drew Brees back because he posted all this stuff, and
Oh yeah.
I just
the
don't
whole,
know.
Like,
I'm sure Emmanuel Sanders followed suit with Kamara and Michael Thomas. but-
Manuel
Yeah,
Sanders
it is
was
what it
like
is.
Not a
down
good
the
start,
list of
but, like-
the apologies.
Wait, time out. Who the hell's Alvin Kamara? Ah,
Who's doing?
anyway.
Yeah,
I watched
he's-
last week's episode, okay?
Because Tom drafting the unknown. All right, where are we? I think the only guy who's like not relevant is like Byron Pringle because
I
he's
think
just
that's it.
obviously so far down. But
Drake
like
Quinn.
besides that,
his last name's
everyone's
Pringle.
worth something.
Maybe Trey Quinn.
Quinn was like a
But Trey-
dart
but-
throw that
but
I
Trey-
don't think is gonna work out.
But Trey Quinn's one of those like who's on like what's Washington's receivers behind Terry McLaurin just shit.
Antonio Gandy Golden now.
Kelvin Harmon has
Which
a really
is-
good
Yeah,
athletic
Calvin
profile.
Harmon I do like better than Trey Quinn as
Yeah.
well. Antonio Gibson
So-
is now one of these.
One of
mixed
those
All right,
favorite
fine.
guys.
He's your wide receiver 10. Oh boy.
You have a great wide receiver.
What am I gonna
room,
do,
okay?
Mike?
Yeah. So I mean, clearly your 3 starters are Evans, Moore, and Woods, and then you're even great if you have an injury or when you hit bye weeks. That's really. I mean, clearly it's not the top receiver group. I know because Alex has Hopkins and Thomas, but it's got to be
Thank you.
2.
Yeah.
Right. It's got to be 2. Like just based
No,
on
I
the
think we
depth. Like,
confirmed it was 3, right? Last
It
week.
is 3, yes.
I don't know, man. I think you're over the overall
No,
depth is
behind
like
Phil
1.
is my rival,
Oh yes.
Tom, because
Oh,
he
wow.
has Devontae Adams, Chris Godwin, Tyler Boyd.
Oh yeah, that's really good. But yeah,
And
look,
Marvin
your
Jones.
receivers, your receivers are great. I mean, and your tight ends are great too. Let's just hit those. Mo Alley Cox, the
Recent pickup,
Just
the
picked
recent,
him up.
yeah.
$1.
Your let's see what else. Mark Andrews,
Gigantic.
Dallas Goddard,
That's right.
Austin Hooper, and Adam Troutman. So even the tight ends are really good. You have 1, 2.
5.
I mean, obviously Mark Andrews is your tight end 1.
Three
3
super fantasy relevant ones.
Yeah, I think Dallas Goddard's fantasy relevant just based on last year. He got a lot of work, even with Ertz. Like they were both good.
But Dallas Goddard, as of right now, is just your bye week guy.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, no,
And
not
then-
even because Austin Hooper. Yeah.
Austin Hooper. I mean, I know you're
Oh,
trying to
you
trade
finally
Hooper.
move him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I mean,
Sorry, dude.
maybe being in
That's what
Cleveland takes the hit
everyone
only because David Njoku's there. Maybe Hooper takes the hit, but I think Hooper's. But you signed into what, 4 years, $42 million. You're playing Austin Hooper.
He's the
Getting out.
top paid tight end in the league.
I had
He's
Hooper in the
objectively better
keeper.
blocker.
I had Hooper in the keeper league last year, and he
Njoku hasn't done anything.
Which is really sad because I really like Njoku.
Yeah, he's
And
hyper
he's still
athletic.
really young too.
Yeah, he is young.
Yeah.
He has Stefanski now, so that 2 tight end set will be useful. But
That's
like I said on a previous one, he's just the Irv Smith of,
Yeah.
Hooper is the Kyle.
But
We
still,
can go
like, well,
for
listen,
Smith.
Like, way
when you-
better.
but when you can have Mark Andrews, like that's really good. That's a top 5 tight end for sure. And,
Which I remember-
probably more work for him with Hayden Hurst gone.
It's probably going to balance out. I could see them trying to get more balls to like Duvernay and maybe
yeah.
Boykin if he
yeah.
steps up.
Also, who knows? Like we were saying with the J.K. Dobbins thing, maybe they actually start
They
throwing the
deploy
running backs
Dobbins
a
and
little
Ingram
more.
at the
It's
same
same
time,
thing with running backs,
especially.
tight ends. They
Yeah.
get similar targets.
That's true.
Lucha, do you remember at very early last year? It might have been like week 2 or 3 when I texted you. I was like, I'm considering sending you an offer, including Evan Ingram for Mark Andrews as like the 2 main pieces. I think at that time, like you and me were both like kind of interested in figuring out a deal for that, but it just didn't ever materialize to anything.
Mhm.
And now it's impossible to get Mark Andrews.
Unfortunately. Well, I don't
Yeah.
know.
Not
I will
impossible,
say
but it's very hard.
it's funny because most of like my later startup strategy was actually based around getting Dallas Goddard.
Huh.
Which is like
I mean, I still think that's going to pay off as soon as Ertz is gone.
Yeah.
Goddard showed us
Yeah.
all last year. how
Well,
good
he's already shown. I mean, I think if Ertz leaves, is Goddard? If Ertz was gone today, would Goddard be a top? Maybe not top 5, like top 8.
Top
Like, do you
7,
think he
top
could be
8.
there.
top set. Yeah, I agree.
I put him at 7.
Yeah, so like the potential's
better
there.
than
So it's
Austin
a great. I
Hooper.
mean,
not skill
This year.
wise.
Maybe.
What's wrong with Austin Hooper?
Fantasy.
He's on the Browns.
Also, by the way, after this year, Zach Ertz can be cut for a about $7.8 million dead cap hit, and they'd save about $5 million. After
is
that,
that even worth it? Is that even worth it if you're trying to compete? If you're
probably
Philly?
not.
I mean,
After that year,
No.
he can be cut for nothing.
oh, then I think maybe 2
Interesting.
more years in Philly.
Yeah,
and
but
he might be
that's
gone.
the end
How
of
old's
Dallas.
Goddard?
Ertz? Goddard is like 25, right?
Yeah. I think that's the end of Goddard's rookie contract too, so it kind of puts him in a weird
Oh.
spot.
Yeah, he's 20.
Yeah.
He's 20. He turned 26 in January. So
And Zach
He's
Ertz
still young.
will
He's still young
turn.
enough.
Zach Ertz will turn 30 in November.
yeah. All right. So yeah, I mean the 4 years, big difference. Listen,
Just like the
what do
thing
you?
with Goddard? Not saying that I agree with him, just kind of putting the counterpoint there. Is like, you remember Trey Burton, how good he was on Philly that one year, and then he went to Chicago
And then he
just
flamed
terrible.
out.
Sucks.
Because he was another one. He's really athletic. He had a good profile. He did well.
That Philly system might just be similar to like the Atlanta system, where it's just great for tight ends.
Potentially. Peterson definitely
The
is a good.
the Dirk Cutter.
Yeah, the
Atlanta.
Dirk Cutter special. Peterson is a good offensive mind, so I wouldn't put it past him.
But like, yeah, man. What do you? I mean, last year we said it before we went over your team. You would have won the championship had things gone. You know, if you beat Alex this semifinal, you were the highest scorer in
If
that
the
championship.
butterfly had not flapped its wings.
But I mean, what do you think with this season? Like, I think you're a definite playoff team. I think again, if you have a quarterback injury, you might. But you have enough receivers to make up for Superflex. But I still think if you lose a starting quarterback, or if Wentz or Rivers underperforms, that could be a setback. And I think again, if the if the running backs, if all your guys turn into committees, like if somehow Miles Sanders goes into like a committee with Boston Scott, it could hurt.
Or God
But
forbid
overall,
if they signed Freeman.
Yeah, I mean he is still out there. There's still like wild cards, but ultimately, like, how do you feel with this roster if no moves are made? Like
It's a tale of two teams. Because, like you said, the top half of quarterbacks
Yes,
and
the two teams: Ocular Pat Down and Shady
and Shady Nasty. which I actually changed while we were recording because I just thought of it.
Nice.
Yeah.
I like it.
Thank you.
Mm.
You know, the quarterback situation and the running back situation are iffy to rough, but the rest of the team is strong. So it just depends on how things fall, really.
Right, and again, it's you can't predict fantasy. You can't predict
It's the same story
anything
for every
in-
team.
Yeah.
You can't predict anything in June, let alone fantasy. Like, you know, but again, like the receivers are fucking unreal. Like the fact that you have like 10 like valuable like guys at wide receiver that you could trade for is like unprecedented. I don't think anyone has near that much talent at one position on their team. And just like the tight ends are good too, like Mark Andrews. Like teams would kill for Mark Andrews with some of the tight end rooms we have. And then like I said, like you said it, the quarterbacks and running backs could be rough, but I think you have the potential to be like a high seed in our league this year, especially with the way some teams I think are moving down, some teams are trying to move up, but I think. Maybe trading Joe Mixon was a mistake now that Cam isn't signed. But again, if he signs and he's a starter, I think that's a wild card though. If he signs and he's a starter, I think you shore up that quarterback position, and then maybe there's a trade to be made for a running back, and then you're right in it.
Even without that, I think if Cam Newton can get signed, let's say like 85% of his production for that healthy stretch in Carolina. I think that'll make up for running back PPG shortfall for the purposes of Superflex.
Of course, yeah. But and if you have if you have like a quarterback injury or a running back injury, it could be deadly. So, but again, you still have
same story for a lot of teams though too. So.
Exactly. But I think like your high end talent is championship caliber. I think like now, like we're
you have a low floor too. You and Skylar both have low floors. I think.
Yeah.
Your floor isn't as low because your wide receivers will keep you afloat no matter what.
Yeah.
So it's not like you can finish in like the bottom four. But
but if things
you could miss the
apart,
you can miss the playoffs or win the whole thing.
I think other teams got strong enough that it's a very real possibility that I miss the playoffs.
I mean, Fantasy Pros has you ranked at number 8.
I think your team's better than that this year. But
well,
I get.
If you want the new 2020 rankings, it's me, you, Mike, Phil, Tom, Dennis, Joey, and then Nick.
Dennis is making a fucking cake out
and then
of that.
Lucho, Skylar, Alex, Kyle, Anthony. Anthony's last. Just need to emphasize that Anthony isn't dead last. With a gap between him and Kyle.
Wait. Where's Anthony?
Last, 12th. Otherwise known as the number 1 worst team.
How many times is Anthony's name on that last place trophy for the other league?
Oh, it's just once, but
okay.
It's just once because he's banned. So
it's just the trophy is the trophy is the winning trophy is the once, and then the loser trophy is just the Anthony Lascalzo trophy, or just the Lascalzo trophy or something.
Yeah,
that's hilarious. But all right, so I think that kind of wraps it up for tonight's episode. I think. Whoa, look at that! 2.5 hours again.
Yes.
Or close to it. I don't think we went longer than last week.
2:26, but there's like a good 15-20 minutes beforehand that it's going to get cut.
All right, let's just drag this out for another 30 minutes.
Oh, shit.
All right.
So listen, if you thought the previous roster breakdowns were good, then get ready for the championship game circle jerk next week. Because next week, I don't think we have any guests because the two people that we're breaking down are the hosts of the podcast. So next week, we break down Alex's roster, we break down my roster, and any news and notes in between. Send us more fan mail. You can send it to alexsape@gmail.com. And if you feel like if you
he texted it just to piss you off so that he would be even more of a bad fan.
The least
fan.
Favorite fan, yes.
But listen, that was a good episode 6. I'm glad we finally got Skylar on to defend his moves that I think we've spent a year shitting on.
Yeah. All right, Mike.
But,
Let's close it out.
Yeah, we're done. We hope you enjoyed it.
Bye.
Please keep coming back.
Hit
See
that
you
like and
next
subscribe
time.
button, I guess.
Oh
Subscribe
yeah,
if
the
you want.
bell. Yeah, you gotta subscribe to Lucho's.
Subscribe if
Lucho,
you
why don't
want.
we have our own like separate?
Oh, because
Lazy?
I wanted to
We're
make
into-
sure
we're into
everybody
VP.
saw that one video I took with my phone back in college where I had a mask on, because that was interesting at the time. Not
Sick
anymore.
foreshadowing,
Yeah.
by the way.
Yeah, good move.
All right. Have a good week, everybody. We'll see you next week.
Later.
Yeah.